Okay, call this meeting to order at 6:02. This meeting is being recorded by the planning board. If any other persons present are recording the meeting, you must notify the chairperson at this time. Okay. Public comment may be allowed at the discretion of the chair. If you want to be considered for making a comment, please alert the chair by raising your hand. Although we usually will let people talk at the agenda item they're interested in as well. Per chapter 49, hybrid comments may be given by email, comment during the meeting, or by phone. Okay, so call to order, roll call of members. Everyone's in person. Let's go around. Start with the voting members, I guess, and then
George Galantis, vice chair.
Michelle, a member.
Peter McIver, clerk.
Sarah Brown-Anson, member.
Jeff Sauer, chair.
Bledsoe, alternate.
Communities alternate.
Okay, thank you. Approval of minutes of November 6th, 2025.
Move to approve.
Okay,
Second.
second.
Two typos. Typo on the ground. Page 2, item C, just applicants, missing an N, the second line. And then the very bottom of the page, the board agreed with, I think it should say this. Board agreed with this. You both saw this.
Skip it.
Thank you, that's it for me.
Anything else on the minutes?
Motion to, another.
Motion to approve the minutes?
We already did.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. So now, public hearings, joint public hearing of the Economic Development Committee and the Planning Board on the proposed zoning amendments to the accessory dwelling unit ordinance to bring it in compliance with the new state law. You guys have to do something?
So I have to open the meeting. Yep. So we're gonna call this meeting to order, the economic development meeting. And we're gonna do a roll call vote because we have one remote. So Counselor Mastero is absent. Counselor Gordon is absent. Counselor Bullock,
Present.
Counselor Minhas. Yes. I'm here, so that makes a quorum. Right, next items for us are just approval of minutes, so I'm gonna catch up to you guys. We have no minutes to approve, so there'll be no voting, and then it goes back to you guys.
All right,
So you have to open public hearing now.
right. Open the public hearing at 6:05 PM. Does anyone like to speak? We'll start with the folks in the room. Probably not. Anyone online like to comment in the public hearing? Okay. For the hearing, do we do anything further?
We have discussion.
Okay, so do you want to?
You have to close, you end up closing the public meeting and then having discussion.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment that there was, I know, an email that came in, and as we talked about, and as you mentioned, because of the hybrid guidelines, comments can be given by email. So but I know an email had comment on this.
Thank you for sharing that.
Should I read the email?
Maybe just the comment pertaining to this item.
Pertaining to this item.
Yeah, yeah.
So this comment is from Al Norman. It's to do with the ADU proposed amendments. For the record, I want to restate that the state ADU statute and regulations do not require a municipality to allow more than one ADU per lot. In other words, if the city allows one protected ADU on a lot, it is a local decision to allow more than one additional ADU by special permit. Multiple ADUs on any lot, whether it has a single family home, a duplex or triplex, is not required by the ADU statute or regulation. If there is no limit on multiple ADUs on one parcel, a landowner with 2 or 3 acre lot could add 3, 4 or more ADUs, which might change dramatically the character of surrounding properties and raise concerns at a special permit hearing and result in possible litigation.
Okay, that's the only written comment that we have. So I'll close the public comment period, close the public hearing portion.
Discussion.
Now we can do discussion. Do we do that in group altogether?
Yeah, we can do it.
Okay, sorry, we're getting up to speed on the parliamentarian part of this. So would it be helpful, maybe Eric, if you could remind us what,
Yeah, I mean, I think the board, planning board and EDC should take a vote on closing the public hearing, right?
okay. We'll go first.
Yeah.
We have a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Then on the EDC side, Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas. Yes. I'm a yes as well. Great.
Okay, now, Eric, if you could just refresh us on what we're talking about, what changed and what's prompting this.
Okay. So it is online under the board packet materials, so people could view it. So I'm just gonna go what's on here at the end of it, which I put down the reason for the proposed zoning. One of the reasons is an East Bridgewater accessory dwelling unit Attorney General's Office decision dated April 14th, 2025. It has to do with this question. They have frequently asked questions they put on the webpage about ADUs. The question was, can a city, town, or town prohibit a protected use ADU from being permitted in property that has more than one unit, such as a duplex, triple decker, or other multifamily home? The answer is no. A municipality cannot limit protected use ADUs to lots with only single family homes on them. Attorney General's office has recently issued a decision that relates to this question, and we recommend cities and towns looking for answers to this question carefully review this decision, which is the East Bridgewater decision I just referenced. So we thought we were in compliance with the law, but based on this new information, we are out of compliance with the law. So
So are we out of compliance? But
we are out of compliance because we defined a protected ADU use to only include single family homes. It must include a two-family triplex and multifamily properties as well.
I don't think we did that.
So that's why we're out of compliance. So all these amendments on this that are highlighted here, which you can go over in detail if you would like, accomplishes that goal to now allow protected ADUs on single family, two family, three family, and multifamily lots by right.
As a residential zoning area, got it.
Yes, in a zone that allows single family housing. Exactly.
Mhm.
So the amendments, do you want me to go through them in detail or just the general description of why we did this?
I read them. I don't know if anybody else.
I remember.
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And it accomplishes that goal for us to come into compliance with the law. We were one of the earlier ones to do this. And so we moved quickly. Sometimes when you move too quick, the state, we have to catch up with the state because even they didn't know where they were headed. So I have to redo it to be in compliance. But once we do this, we will be in compliance with the new law.
Thank you. So in section B, we have a definition of a protected use ADU. In section D2, there's only one protected ADU may be created on the lot with a principal dwelling. Back up to the definitions, we have the definition of an unprotected ADU. But I don't see any other reference in this zoning ordinance to an unprotected ADU. So I'm not clear if it would be allowed to have a second ADU on a single family, two family, or three family lot.
So this didn't show the table of uses, but the table of uses would have to be amended, obviously, to go along with this. And actually, it's already there. So if you look at the table of uses of our zoning ordinance, there's two use categories: protected use ADU and an unprotected ADU. The state calls it a local ADU. We chose to call it an unprotected ADU. And so we have to change this definition to meet the new law by by doing what we did here, striking out single family. So the table of uses lists all that, and it is correct, I believe.
And we don't have to change, we're not just changing that because it's already correct, so that's why we didn't get it back.
Unprotected.
And that's in the latest, table of uses?
Yeah,
Yes.
page 146.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Unprotected is special permit.
Or special permit.
Yep. The others are.
That is a by right.
Yes.
And, is it, in keeping with the state requirements that it's necessary to allow for, what we're calling unprotected ADUs as a second ADU?
No, we're making a choice to be a little more progressive to allow additional accessory dwelling units by special permit, so case by case basis.
All right.
Al Norman's comment is correct. We could choose not to do that and only allow the protected ADU use.
So that's not a state.
No, man, not state mandate.
We decided the zoning guidelines would really be the keys for all that. You know. If it doesn't fit on the property, you can't tell.
Exactly.
Going up, so,
Dimensional regulations
Right.
take care of.
right, takes care of it. So if
Takes
it's
care of
gonna
it.
fit, you should be able to build it.
Exactly.
Right.
And
And it
that-
still allows an avenue for
This,
upset neighbors to
Right.
air their grievances.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
I mean, I recall a discussion about whether or not to allow unprotected ADUs or protected ADUs, I'm sorry, for two families. And there was a back and forth, and I think it was a decision to compromise and to try to, for people who are concerned about too many ADUs, to say, okay, even though two can look just like a one and they're both lots and all that, we'll make for the two family it a special permit. And that was a decision we made, and if it's a two family, they can do it, but it's not protected.
Well, that's what we said, but that just got undone.
That was under,
That's not
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand that, and that's what we decided
Yeah.
to do as a compromise,
Right.
and that was obviously not allowed.
But we tried.
Retroactive, right? We tried to compromise, it was not possible to go back. The one thing I would say, there's a spelling here, principal, should be principal, under accessory dwelling unit standards, number 2,
B2, okay.
D2, correct? LE rather than.
No. Oh, that's.
I wonder, I know that the other aspect of the public comment was a concern that there could be any number of ADUs on a lot. My read of the definition of an unprotected ADU is a second ADU on a single family, two family, or three family lot, which is restrictive. Second, you can't have two second ADUs. So it seems to restrict it to no more than two ADUs per lot.
Correct.
But you can always try and go for a special permit if you meet the
Well, there's no,
requirements for the unprotected.
but you can only have one unprotected ADU on a lot, according
I
to the
mean, for the
definition.
protect, yeah. No, one protected and unprotected is special permit.
Only one unprotected though. So in the definition of unprotected, it's defined as a second ADU.
Okay,
So you can't have a third ADU because I'm just responding to the concern in the community that there could be thousands of ADUs or however many could fit on a lot. There can only be up to two.
right.
Correct.
So just want to clarify, person with a single, double, multifamily, whatever, can build an ADU by right.
In a lot that allows single family, which is not all zones that allow housing. Is that right?
Yes, any zone that allows single family housing. Yes, to your.
Okay, and then for the second unprotected one, they can still build it, but it's through a special permit process.
Correct.
Okay, and then after that, if they want to build like a third one, is that allowed or not allowed?
Not allowed.
Not allowed.
Need a variance or something. Right?
Okay.
Is there,
Until the state changes it.
Yes,
for the time being, it's not allowed.
for the time being, yes.
Based on what we're.
So
talking
it's
about.
not like it's an unlimited amount of ADUs. I think the concern is like, okay, you have a slumlord buying a house and then having like 7 ADUs in it,
That's the
building up
concern.
shacks.
That would be a multifamily development and would have to get a special permit and go
Yes.
before the zoning board. of
Yeah.
And just to be clear, this issue, I think maybe this is part of what your point was. We had already compromised on. Like this is already what we set in the past. We're not expanding on this or changing this at all. We just had to change that definition for a different reason. So if we have had that community conversation and
There were people who wanted us to allow an ADU on a two-family as of right in that previous conversation, and we chose to not.
Yeah.
And now we're going back to say, well, like, we're gonna have to allow it.
Yeah.
But it's only one,
Yeah.
and it's a special permit, anything past one, and you only get one.
exactly, yeah.
One plus one, two.
Eric, looks like there's someone in the waiting room.
Oh, thank you.
George? Forgive me if I'm missing something, and I'm sorry I didn't have the table of uses in mind. So where does it reference in this portion of the ordinance that an unprotected ADU needs to have a special permit? Am I missing that?
It's in a separate section. We added a new section the last time we amended it, that defined, they had the definition,
Protection,
yeah, it defined unprotected ADUs in a separate section, and it's not in the packet.
It's, if you look at, C two. For accessory dwelling units that require a special, oh, no, that's a different, that's the planning board shall be the special permit granting authority.
It's a whole different section.
Yeah.
I'm unclear of what you mean. This is the,
Do you have the most recent zoning bylaws?
Right.
Yeah, so it's gonna be, there was a section we had. ADUs, what section is that?
That's 200, that's 7.18.
Just had my finger on it and then I went to dimensional. Table uses. And it's right towards the end, 123, check page 120. Like right before the tables.
Marijuana, it should be right.
this is,
It's listed on page 23, section C, uses permitted by special permit.
Unprotected.
Item 20 is unprotected accessory dwelling unit detached.
Definition.
page 23 of the zoning code?
It's a
123.
24, really.
Start,
Yeah.
but it's on 124.
Basically, the
I
table of use.
remember the table that we added too.
Added May 8th.
If you look on the standards, number 2, only one within a single family house, or house lot is allowed in section D.
This is accessory dwelling unit detached, so that's not the most frequent. So, I'm just for thoroughness, I'm trying to understand. It doesn't have to be referenced in this. That it requires a special permit, doesn't have to be mentioned. We have the definition and we're not mentioning,
So where it has to be mentioned in the zoning ordinance is 2 places. One, table of uses, which is based on every district and the uses of, the purpose of the district, the use is allowed by right, and one's by special permit or prohibited. Those verbiage sections of the ordinance in every district where this ADU protected and unprotected is allowed, it must be stated there. You know, under section C, it'll say unprotected ADU.
It does say unprotected ADU detached. Should detached be deleted?
Said detached because that might be an over, from the other iterations that we went over. Because, you know, we said 1 and 2 and 3 families are allowed by right in this city, therefore there's no such thing as an interior ADU. But based on this new thing,
Yeah, we might,
allowed in multifamily, then I think we need to remove the word detached.
Effectively, you maybe could still do what we talked about. You could turn a 1-family into a 2-family and not call it an ADU. Yeah,
but if someone
But that's
wanted,
if
if someone
you have
wanted to
enough
make
land.
it.
Yeah, all these are if you have enough land.
And, you know, there are thresholds also substantial
Yeah,
as far as lot size.
yeah.
I guess it would be detached in every case.
You could do an ADU inside.
Yeah, you could turn a single family into a,
2-family or 3-family.
yeah, you could tack on 2 ADUs theoretically that are attached.
And then now it's called a three-family, not an
It's a
ADU.
three-family, yeah.
Correct.
Now it's a three-family, it's not a single with two ADUs.
I would
Two family.
see that language and think.
But the thing with-
Using it as restrictive. Because we're understanding our zoning code that they might not. I think we should remove the word attached.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Yeah, no problem with that. I think it should be removed. The word attached.
Thanks. Eric, I'm sorry to belabor this. But I'm just wondering why, since we have this section is labeled ADUs, why it wouldn't be mentioned, is a reason not to have it mentioned in here. If we do define unprotected ADUs, why wouldn't we have reference to did we say for why wouldn't we have a reference to unprotected ADUs require a special permit? Why wouldn't that be mentioned in this section?
We could add a sentence
you
on
amend
the
it?
definition of unprotected AU, that unprotected AUs require special permit.
I mean, that's, the convention is not necessarily to do that. There's uses like crematories and other things that require special permits. And there's a definition for those. And then there's the list of special permits where they're required, and there's the table of uses. I think it's
By
typical.
Yeah.
It's normal to not call out every, like whether or not it's special permit in this type of section in the document. There's other places for that, but it doesn't introduce a loophole or something where you don't have to get a special permit. It's just not refer to that in that way in this type of section.
Yeah, I didn't mean that. I was just trying to understand and for
Okay.
clarity's sake, it
Got it.
seemed like it would
Okay.
be reasonable to have references. Okay.
I concur with Jeff, though, exactly. Your wording was great there.
I'll let it go. Thank you.
Yes.
Beauty of zoning documents.
Most people go to the uses first
Yeah.
anyway.
Right.
When they're developing. And they also look at the dimensional stuff, and they cross the two, and then they go to the definitions to cross check.
Exactly, yeah.
That's usually what people in development do. or what they like to do.
I've let it go.
No, I'm just saying, for the general public edification that people know. It's covered.
With the definitions that we currently have, can there be an ADU built on a mixed use building, like a building that has commercial and also some residential? Would that be allowed?
I say no. Because of the commercial aspect.
It has to be, there has to be a principal. Is the principal dwelling?
Has to be a
Reason for that,
residential.
yeah.
The principal structure has to be a residential use.
Yeah.
But if it's mixed use and it has both a existing residential and an existing commercial aspect,
But the principal
It's-
building
it has
on
to be
that
the
lot is
principal.
not the residence, the commercial.
Yes.
And it's also driven by the zone.
So the principal building needs to be residential on the
Right.
lot.
It's all described with residential. You know, all the ones, the twos, threes and multi-families, all those things.
Somebody has a hair salon in their house. That commercial structure, that commercial use is not a principal.
yeah. So let's say a building goes up 5-6 story building and it has commercial on the first floor, residential units up on top. And then the builder decides, okay, I actually have space, or for whatever reason, would like to add some ADUs. Could that person attach ADUs to such a building? Or would they have to be whole dwelling units and not adapt the ADUs?
Good question, but I would say,
They better have room on the lot to do that.
yeah, I mean, I can't see a scenario in the downtown where that would exist, but if, say it did, it's a good question. I do not have the answer.
Well, since it's probably not a by right, we'd have to go for a special permit.
Right.
What about it then?
I mean, the worst case scenarios, we would say, well, we don't know the answer. Well, we gotta get a special permit.
And it depends again, the zoning of that parcel
Yes.
and the zoning of the abutters, and there's a lot of different factors that can come into play.
That would be a unique, I've never heard that, but it's a good question.
But I think again, it wouldn't be by right because the principal use of the space is not residential. So even if a guy wanted to do it, he'd have to come for a special permit. because it's got commercial space in it, so that means it's not principally residential. That's how I would interpret it.
Yeah, I would as well, even though it could be 4 stories
Yeah.
residential and the bottom use is only 1 story commercial,
Commercial,
still on the street, primary use commercial.
yeah, so it's not in a residential area, it's a mixed use, it's not in a residential.
Well, it's also classified as a mixed use building, not a home.
Right, right.
Exactly.
Right.
Special permit at worst case.
Yes.
Someone will try to do it and we'll get some case law on it.
What about, not to make things more confusing, what
Somewhere in the
about if
state will
there's
be
no
here.
commercial aspect to it at all? And there's a 6-story building with just residential, assuming it's not in our commercial district, so it doesn't have to have first or whatever. Would each, what is classified as a principal? Let's say it has like 20 units in it, 20 separate units. Would that mean it could have 20 ADUs? Or does it mean that it could have 1 ADU? Does it even have 0 ADUs?
It's a principal structure. It's the whole structure.
Is one principal?
Is one principal structure, and the definition, I'll read it directly, principal dwelling, a structure regardless of whether it or the lot is situated on conforms to zoning, including use requirements and dimension requirements such as setbacks, bulk, and height, that contains at least 1 dwelling unit and is or will be located in the same lot as a protected ADU. So it's saying the principal dwelling, if it meets that, you have to allow 1 protected use.
The other way to think about it is you can only do 1 ADU per lot. It
Okay,
belongs to the lot, not the unit.
okay.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, the individual units within that, there's no way they could each do an accessory
No.
unit. The answer is definitely no.
And the same applies to, let's say, like a multifamily home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's like 1 unit per lot, and then the rest
Okay.
after that are
Exactly.
for special
Yeah.
The
permits.
second one.
Okay.
Only one other, and only one other. It's
Yeah,
not
you,
even-
you can't keep going this, then you
Right.
get 1 pass.
It's not like an
One
infinite
ticket,
matrix.
and then that's it.
Like, okay, now I'm a 3-family, and then now I can, and it just keeps on.
And even if that gets sold to somebody else, it's still 1
Right.
pass.
It's a good question. We need to make sure that there aren't some edge cases that things can get out of control.
I get asked this, and then I'm like, I don't know. I can ask.
Good questions.
Yeah.
I think everybody's clear now.
Thanks.
So. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, do we vote to approve also tonight, or does that happen?
We can take a vote on it. If you guys can take a vote on it, and then it will go to the next city council meeting, I believe. Yeah, it will be this counts. There's a period when zoning changes, there's a whole chart and I can't remember how it goes. So there's like a waiting period. So yeah, if the EDC wants to take a quick vote on it. So we're basically voting to amend zoning ordinance section 200-56 accessory dwelling units. Required revisions under the Affordable Home Act signed by Governor Maura Healy relative to accessory dwelling units 760 CMR 71 as amended by the planning board. So I don't know if you kept track of strikes and you want to.
I'm sorry, before you do it, were we gonna add that detached, striking the word detached?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, so what section was that under? Let me take notes.
That would be under the use categories under each district where it's allowed. So there's several sections of the zoning ordinance where the word detached will need to be removed.
That's gonna get messy. Because we really have to amend this how you want it shown. So we could say as amended and try to see if Tammy and them will accept like a marked up version from you guys after.
Okay.
But we're gonna need something to bring to
Yeah,
city
yeah.
council.
No, definitely. I was planning on tomorrow, but Monday, getting this right out to the city clerk.
And then they'll have to determine whether they think that's a substantial enough change to have to come back to another public hearing.
Exactly.
Right.
Let's discuss it a little further. The word detached, does it need to be removed? I mean, if you have a principal dwelling and it's a single family or 2-family or 3-family, or even a multi-family.
Mary Ann has her hand.
All right.
I would say it does need to be removed, and personally, I wouldn't think it's a substantive change because it's providing clarity on intent.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, obviously the clerk's office could go a different way, but
But they
Clear.
generally ask me what my opinion is, and I don't think it's a substantive change.
yeah, clarity of intent seems in line with what can be changed.
Yes, I like that wording.
Excuse me, Eric, someone in the waiting room.
So I guess amended by removing the word detached as necessary throughout the documents.
That's
And then we had one spelling check in section D. Two, changing principal with an E to AL at the end. So we're gonna take a roll call vote on it.
Sorry.
Amended.
Or,
And you got another one?
no, maybe to make this easier, the word detached only shows up 11 times in the whole ordinance. We might be able to find it real quick.
Okay,
If it's better to just have it be specific, right?
yeah, I would think so.
Yes.
So if you wanna,
That's on number. 200-4.3
dash 4.3,
C20,
C20.
one we looked at a second ago. I would say that this one also should be, so this is. Two hundred dash 718. C2.
Well, that's already stricken from this ordinance. So that would, you can, this. Sections 200-7.8 is section 200-5.6 under the new coding number. And C2 already has it stricken out.
Yeah.
Good. And then did we do 200-4.3?
We did do
We did that, 4.3 C20.
4.3.
Not going in the right order for me. That might be it. That's all I can find, but Adobe's acting weird.
The definition of protected use ADU reads an attached or detached ADU that is located.
Yeah, that's the state definition, and we don't want to change it.
Yeah, if it's the protected one, we're fine. It was more clarifying what the unprotected one is.
Got it.
So from what I could tell, that's all I could find. At least that helps a little bit to get more specific.
So that was just one area.
That was just one section.
Good, okay.
Eric, it looks like the same person is in the waiting room again.
Okay. So this is, we'll try this again, guys. Order number FY 26-061. Move that it be ordered that the city council of Greenfield amend the zoning ordinance, chapter 200, section 200-56, accessory dwelling units to add language in bold and remove language in strike through as required under the revisions under the Affordable Homes Act signed by Governor Moore Healy relative to accessory dwelling units 760 CMR 71 to read as follows and attached exhibit A, and amended by striking the word detached from section 11-200-4.3 C20, and then by making a spelling change to the word principal in D2. And further amends that the table of contents and index of the code, and further that non-substantial changes to the numbering of the ordinance be permitted in order to be in compliance with the numbering format of the code of the city of Greenfield. So we're going to take a roll call vote now. Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. All right, and then we're pretty much done here at this point, so I'm just going to close out our meeting, work through the last things on our agenda, and let you guys go to town. Our next meeting is December 9th, 2025, 6:30 PM, City Hall, Meeting Room 2, second floor, unless otherwise posted. Can I get a motion to adjourn? To adjourn. And a second?
Second.
All right, and we're going to take a quick roll call. Counselor Bullock,
Yes.
Counselor Minhas,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Adjourned.
Are we free?
Sure.
Yeah.
6:36.
Six?
Can I
Yeah.
just make one point?
Sure.
Maybe informally off the record. So multifamily is defined 4 and more, and it's only allowed in 2 zones. Everything
Yeah.
else is special permit, central commercial and center residential. So you're having the scenario that you mentioned is highly unlikely.
Oh, no.
Because of that special permit, and once it's done, someone's not gonna come back and,
Yep.
I mean,
Not for an ADU.
no, it's definitely not for an ADU, but it's 4 or more.
Yep.
That's right, and hopefully that,
Thank you. Yes, that helps.
good.
George?
I would make a motion for a positive recommendation on the changes to section 200-56, accessory dwelling units. Noting a change of going to the word principal in D2 and how many were there? Removal of
The one. Did the word detached?
yeah, the detached from,
I think we just found one that
oh,
was
Because the
outlined.
other one was already struck.
I hope everyone has a good holiday.
Thank
you.
you.
Well,
It's fine.
that's a section for George.
Section 200-4.3 C20.
that were being removed. Thank you very much. That's my motion.
I would second that.
Discussion? All in favor? Okay.
Welcome to this side of the table.
Yeah.
Liking it already.
All right. Next item on the agenda, approval not required, plan endorsement for lots at 156 to 176 Main Street. This is tax map 58, lots 38 and 39, submitted by Franklin and Maine LLC. And I think, we have, I know we have one comment.
We have, it's normal comment about this one and answer the question.
Yeah, why don't we do the comments and then we can have you respond. So we'll start with Al's comment and then see if anyone else has one.
Franklin Main project. Why is an A&R being submitted for this project now instead of when the applicant first came before the planning board? What is the stated objective of the applicant about why an A&R is needed now for this project? How does the A&R impact the project at this point? So I'll answer the very last one first. It doesn't impact the project at this point in any way whatsoever. It was a condition of approval for the project that they combine it into one lot. And now they're actually following the condition of approval by doing the A&R plan.
That explains it.
Very easy peasy.
They're at the waiting room. Talk to us again.
Yeah, no.
And they keep doing it.
No, it keeps coming, but it keeps going away.
No, it works.
No, it just.
There we go.
Let's go down.
Does anyone else have a comment on the A and R item? Okay.
So this was an approved project and the condition of approval was to make one lot out of 2. And this A&R is just simply showing that.
Correct.
See your problem? huh?
The applicant, do you want to come up here and just introduce yourself and give us your perspective?
Yep, yep. I'm Peter Graham. I'm a development consultant representing the developer and owner. And actually, it's also, there's the combination, but also the separation of the 156. Because at the time we first came forward, we weren't sure if the entire parcel would all be under one ownership with the redevelopment of the 176 parcel and the townhomes in the back. But the evolution of the development period has been so that we'll separate out the 2-story structure at 156 to be a standalone parcel. So yes, it had been all together as one under that common ownership, and now it's being separated so that the parcel in question for new redevelopment will be its own parcel. That's it.
Everything else we've seen and
Yeah.
you're doing is the same.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, just to clarify what looking at the plan I'm looking at. So parcel 2 incorporates the let's see here. Number 170, is that accurate?
parcel one.
So these
Right.
are-
Yeah, parcel two, right, incorporates 170.
And the area in the back.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
thank you.
correct.
So just the lines a little hard.
Yeah, like actually I have, so like the yellow is what is, and then the green separating. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So the yellow parcel is being separated from the green parcel. That's pretty much it.
That's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
And the blue parcel that's highlighted that's the city owned.
That's the city-owned parcel, and when that finishes its process, that would then get joined with the yellow. That's right.
So will there be another ANR potential?
I'm not even sure that is needed, because it could be just a standalone. The only development that's happening on that is garden, and that's it. I think there's an improvement to the retaining wall near it.
It wouldn't need to be combined in project site.
It's partly also separated. It's in land court, so that it would be more complicated to bring it in. That reason. And right now, it's just a Franklin and Maine separation, all under currently one ownership entity that's going to be separated.
So just to clarify your outlined areas, the yellow area is single floor structure.
Single floor existing structure, and then the lot in the back.
And then the
Green.
orange green, sorry.
Yeah,
That's the 2-story.
correct. Okay, that's correct.
New building is just going here.
The new building is going in the yellow, and then townhomes in the back. So 2 new buildings right there. That's right.
What's gonna remain on parcel one?
What is known as parcel one in your,
Either orange.
oh, yeah. Yes, the building is going to stay as it is right now. Yeah.
Sure.
Unless there are more questions for the applicant, I'll make a motion to endorse this ANR.
Second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for coming.
Great. Thank you.
Look for the
Motion
project.
to authorize the chair to sign on behalf of the board to endorse the ANR.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next item, review the tree committee's tree planting plan / guidelines. Margo, you want to come up? And does anyone on the line have a comment on this before we get started?
Should I put,
No, that's
No.
good.
okay, that was public hearing.
No, not that formula.
Hi, well, I'm here as a co-chair of the Greenfield Tree Committee. And we are enthusiastically submitting these guidelines so that we can have something to go by in terms of site plan review and getting a little more rigorous in terms of saving trees, planting trees, and especially restoring tree belts. Because there just have been too many recent developments, some of them that were without site plan review. So I'm not pointing any fingers anywhere, but the city owns the tree belt. There's the road, there's the tree belt, there's the sidewalk, and the tree belt is for utilities and trees. So it's sort of a bugaboo of ours that we actually are getting a grant. It hasn't been publicized yet, but we have a grant for next year to do some restoration of tree belts on Federal Street. And I think it'll be a really good example. Anyway, Mary Chacon used to be chair of our committee, and she wrote this. I wish I could say I did, but there was a lot of collective thinking. But Mary's actually a landscape designer, and she knows what she's talking about. So, do you have any questions or comments or?
I'll just comment. I appreciate, Michael, what you just emphasizing. And when I read the section about the paved over graded tree belts, I hadn't really been, a big fan of tree belts, and glad that it was quite a while ago, there was an ordinance passed to prohibit planting in tree belts. And then it was undone, fortunately. So, yeah, I hadn't been aware of this phenomenon happening. So I really appreciate you highlighting that. The other thing I want to just echo is about the tree planting techniques. I was on the, when I first moved to town, I was on the tree committee that was actually an official town committee, and did some trainings. I'm always struck by the mulching thing, the whole.
I know.
Or it's all.
The volcano mulching.
Or telephone polling.
Yeah.
And I was, instructed about the importance of the root flare and for a healthy tree. And I see this all over the place, just a fad. And it uses more mulch. But it's just so unhealthy for the trees.
It's easier. It's just easier for them to put down, I think.
I don't know. I don't know. You'd use a lot less if you didn't have this piled up against the trunk. But I appreciate all the aspects, but those are two things that jumped out at me.
I think the loss of the tree belts was in part generated by overzealous paving contractors. They get in there, we're gonna repave, well, we'll just for a little extra, we'll add, whole thing, get rid of the curb, and that way, easier for plowing. You can see some, like, there's garages, there's, I can point out on Federal Street, I think you give an example, one of them is an example, it's, oh yeah, that's for sure what happened there.
And it creates more parking sometimes, so
Yeah.
people like that, but we probably need to work with the DPW a little bit and make sure that they protect it.
But I also, just in thinking about design guidelines that we're trying to establish or create, that whole thing can be a subsection. That it's like you've done that part of the work for us now with this, which is great. You just incorporate that or refer to it.
Well, I was wondering, is the proposal to make this part of a design advisory, or is this to put it into actually site plan review as more criteria and teeth? And I don't know what that requires, Eric, if it's site plan, is that zoning regulation?
The site plan regulations are in the zoning ordinance, and they could be amended to reference the documents such as the tree planting. Right?
So if you wanted to put something into site plan, you'd have to go through the whole zoning process?
Yes.
Just for board members, I did take out, I copied and pasted the recommendations. I don't know if it would be helpful to guide our discussion either now or when we talk about design guidelines, to have them in front of us as opposed to in the document. I don't know.
Can you say that again? I didn't quite follow.
I made a document that's actually the tree committee's recommendation, put this on one page instead of flipping through.
Gotcha.
Put the pretty pictures out.
I mean,
No, but it's a good-
this
it's a
is a
good summary.
wonderful document,
Yeah.
and I liked having all the context and the explanation, and then the recommendations to address them. But also, if we are going to take the recommendations, it's something we need to focus on.
Great, thank you.
If it's helpful.
Yeah.
No, I think that's exactly.
Hopefully, I did not miss any.
Highlighted them all.
Yeah, better.
Thanks for doing
Yeah. Thank you for putting this together.
Sure.
And thank you for meeting with a recent applicant who,
You want to know your.
what street was it? High Street?
Give it to Ella.
Yeah, the corner of Allen and Wells.
Yeah, Wells and L, yeah.
Oh, right, and came up with a design.
Yeah,
plan.
and he came back the
Yeah.
next month and was very happy and encouraged about, excited to plant the trees. I think it was very successful.
it. Did he keep the sourwoods?
So
Is he putting in any sourwoods?
Sourwood
Yeah, wasn't that, is it the bank,
service.
the addition to
Yeah.
the bank? Or am I thinking of is it the other land, the other
No,
parcel?
it's the bank we talked about.
Okay, sorry, different parcel.
I thought we were kind of too nice to him, actually. Could have made him plant more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
the corner of Allen, but
We also had an exchange, the past several people that have come forward for site plan review or something like that had and we're gonna have a conversation later about design guidelines to give ourselves more things we can control. Because there's very few things we have the power to control. And so we've been able to identify street trees in these cases as something that is within our purview. So we at least try to get that done, but we haven't had enough conviction in our knowledge of trees we have to be kind of easygoing because like we don't know, we can't tell them to do something that's the wrong trees or the wrong spacing. So we kind of
Right.
guess. And so I think the more information we have, the more specific we can be, and hopefully the more aggressive might not be the right word, but we can get the most trees possible.
Sort of.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I wondered if for some large projects, if you couldn't do what the Concom does, which is say, you have to hire a landscape architect and do a professional landscape design. Like
And
Concoms have to,
And all that stuff.
yeah.
To be part of it.
I mean, we would want that plan to have tree, they can do a plan that has no trees and is a beautiful lawn that's been professionally designed. It's a
Right.
specified-
That would, yeah, no, I mean, well, peer review is, I guess, what I'm
see.
suggesting. That you could probably have a list of 4 or 5 people who would be willing to do peer review and say, well, there could be more trees
Yeah.
or there could.
I mean, we've just referred them to you guys. You're the. why
Right,
create that
well,
name?
we're happy to do that, but Mary's, moved on and I'm not a landscape.
She's actually moved
architect.
out of town even, right?
Yeah, she moved out of town.
I had,
Sad.
there was one thing I was not able to find in here, maybe I'm just not seeing it. It might be implied by the diagram on the page number. The diagram that has the 4 big trees or the 7 little trees.
Mhm.
One of the key pieces of information we need is the appropriate spacing between trees. So is that do we just do the math on this diagram? And it's an art because
Yes.
you have to dodge driveways and intersections and utilities, but still to be able to have a clear 200-foot stretch, you tell them how many trees that they have to commit to.
But it depends on the species.
Right,
These are
it
true.
totally does. And that's where you kind of need a professional because, you can get, well, what she's saying is that if a tree is projected to finally be 50 feet at maturity, then it's a 40-foot wide. I mean, but it does depend on the species, like some are wider than.
I have the chart on, maybe it's at the 3 pages later. If there was
Yeah.
a spacing column, all plus.
Well, we need to actually tell them the trees. I mean, if they have a list of trees that they know are allowed, and we say, oh, we want 10 trees there. Let them pick out the 10 species that'll get 10
They
trees.
don't know what the spacing
They
guidelines
should
are.
know about the species, but if they know that it's an elm versus a sycamore versus a beech tree or whatever, they would know the diameters, the final.
It sounds like it's not just like there's some overlap potentially. Like a
Right.
tree has a 40-foot spacing. They wouldn't know that. So they might.
I mean, we could add a column.
They should have, that should.
Mary would be happy to do
I think if
that.
it's in there,
I
that's,
think
it's.
you just add a column.
Part
Yeah.
of it.
This
Here's the
tree needs
species,
a
here's the
spacing.
spacing.
Typical spacing,
Yeah.
standard conditions would be 40 or whatever.
And some cities specify minimum caliper size because they don't want these little.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I know in Holyoke,
Yeah,
they said you gotta have at least,
I mean, don't you? Because Aldi's and Starbucks, they have, they've got sizable trees.
Yeah.
Yeah. They didn't get enough of them.
We
They're
have
like
put those in
boom,
plans.
boom, boom.
Caliper.
Yeah.
DDH.
Huh?
DDH.
Right.
So
Diameter breast height.
Margaret, would that be something
Yeah, but
that
we don't.
would vary by species, or just like an ideal caliper by species? Could that be another column? As opposed to, it might not be universal from across all species. Like I've been told, you don't want too much of a caliper because it will establish itself as well.
Right, right. And I think they got more dried out because they were big and
Because they were too big.
they were, yeah.
A lot of water.
I can ask.
If you, it is Mary.
It's over my head.
Does Mary still take her column?
Yeah, she does.
Just
Okay.
the more guidance we can give people, the more specificity, the more likely it is they'll do the trees, plant them right, and they'll survive.
Right.
Although we do condition them on maintaining them, so if they die and they have to plant them, we'd rather the first one survive.
Right. Well, who does the inspections?
Wish we had. Don't have anyone.
An initial inspection is done before they're issued a certificate of occupancy. I would go and make sure that the site is done exactly per site plan, but that's only a one-time inspection.
Yeah, so I think there needs to be a follow-up by the city to make sure that the trees lived, because there's some that are really stressed on Alti's site and also.
This year was tough for trees, for new trees.
Yeah, it was a bad year. It
And
was.
people who
summer.
didn't water their trees died.
Right. So I don't know, I mean, a 1-year warranty inspection that you don't have to do that?
Usually it's
No, there's
2
usually
years to
2 years
establish.
they have to maintain it. So if we went there and just
Yeah.
inspected it 2 years later and they're dead, oh, you have to replant it.
Yeah.
Trees.
Yeah.
And usually, like I know in Holyoke, with the state program where they're doing greening the urban areas for Heat Island, they give the trees out free, they plant them for the residents, but they require them to water them for 2 years. And either keep the boot filled with water, but those things have to be wet for 2 years, so they don't die.
To the free trees that they give to
So
the
the
property owner.
That's how long it
Yeah.
takes for the tree to get established.
We do that too.
Yeah.
And you can sign up for free trees. But
This is a waiting list.
no, there isn't. We've caught up.
I bet
Well, we took it over for from the DPW.
it's resign.
So we did 75 in the last 2 years, and that pretty much caught up.
Put in my request.
Margaret, what does it take to reclaim or restore the tree belt?
The tree belt?
Yeah, so you see you're getting some resources for that. That's
Right.
a city expense, I assume?
No, we're paying a
Otherwise, it would-
subcontractor to you have to take out the inanimate stuff, the stone and the pavement, and then like put 6 feet deep of soil and amenities. So it's not a inexpensive job.
I just-
Plus, there could be pipes in
Doesn't
there.
have resources for that, so this is having to raise specific money to.
The grant would pay for it. The cooling corridors grant said they would pay for
Just
cooling the corridors. Yeah, yeah. 2 years in a row we got.
Yeah, that's amazing. And we need it. Federal should be really.
Really does need it. The primary design feature of Federal Street is utility poles.
I know.
High and low. So we're gonna interrupt that.
I just want to speak to the power of collaboration. I thought the collaboration you folks did, the gentleman with the property at Wells and Allen, was excellent.
Yeah.
And I think it was a model of how to have this work done. I mean, obviously, this will empower us to be more knowledgeable and be able to do that without having to turn to you folks. But I thought it was wonderful. And similarly, I was very impressed with when you talked about the trees in relation to businesses. You emphasized the importance of having the right tree to not obscure business signs. And you can point out that though these trees on Main Street weren't ideal, they were pruned back to accommodate the businesses. So another
Great.
example of collaboration. And lastly, I want to appreciate you folks because it used to be, the tree committee used to be an official town committee. And then it stopped. And so it's been volunteers and it's been wonderfully vigorous and effective and, partnering with the DPW. So it's just, you guys are a gift to the town. So I just wanted to note that and thank you for this.
Well, thank you, George. Why don't you come back on? Well, it's a wonderfully refreshing group because we just get stuff done. There's no talk. Well, there's a little bit of talk.
That's the best way to be done. Like it's accomplished.
Right.
That's great.
It's wonderful.
Well, thank you. So I hope you can live that somehow, some
I mean,
way.
at minimum, it will be, in the interim, it'll be a reference that we'll always use if we need it. And the more you can give us details, the more we can incorporate them.
Yeah, I think we can
And if we
bulk
can
up that's.
work on codifying these things too. The nice thing about trees, unlike other zoning topics, is it's not controversial. It's kind of,
Oh, yeah.
Leaves. I don't want shade. I don't want.
I mean, in Northampton,
I don't want the.
you cannot cut trees down on your private property if they're over a certain diameter.
but we haven't had pushback to make commercial folks. Anyway, it hasn't felt as controversial in this room
Oh,
as
okay.
ADUs or other things.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe.
In terms of introducing a regulation, enforcement might be different.
Oh, just wait.
Yeah. I was,
Well, we did study some other towns and their tree regulations, and they really are more
right,
robust.
person,
So,
one of your compatriots.
oh yeah. Hi, Jamie. We could give you more specifics. I mean, our guidelines recommend that the tree ordinance be increased in scope. So we could come up with some language if you'd like that.
You can give us, well,
Okay,
I mean, I
take a look
I
at
don't
it.
know about trees. We could just, you guys know a lot.
I thought you were a planner, don't you?
Well, yeah, but we don't plan, I'm not a landscape planner.
Yeah, right.
No, but it should be, I mean, isn't it in the complete streets guidelines that we adopted, Eric?
No, it is not.
Oh, man.
Trees are not in
That's
that.
bad. That's
And
bad.
I don't know what happened on the
That's true,
Commonwealth
in that
level.
final plan, the trees aren't included. But no, it definitely has to be.
Well, the complete streets prioritization plan is all about making proper connections. It's not about trees.
Right.
And yet you're digging up sidewalks and redoing tree belts, and it just seemed like,
They're related, but different.
But it is the time to think about it.
Yeah, I think if you have thoughts that aren't in here yet, that you think ought to be in a design guidelines document or something similar, give them to us.
okay,
Well, I think we've identified trees as one of the lower hanging fruit, hopefully, unintended. So as soon as you have something, I mean, it'll take us a few cycles to get to something we might consider trying to codify, and then be public comment and all that sort of thing. So there's some time, but
okay. But meanwhile, you're gonna sort
we
of,
have something to work with now, which has been
Refer these.
excellent. Yeah, definitely.
wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mario.
How do you do?
Sarah, thank you for this.
Yeah.
It's really helpful.
I even thought we could, I didn't have time to do it today when I was making this, but at some point we could go through and for each of the recommendations, we could say whether we can do it immediately or whether it could be in the design guidelines or whether it would be a zoning amendment. So maybe if we have this discussion again, or maybe next time I'll have time to do that.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
Okay, next item, discussion around a request for a planning board designee to the Franklin Regional Council Government Regional Planning Board Committee. So I have something on that, but Eric, do you know about that? Are you on that?
So, yeah, when I first came to Greenfield, I was the representative for a while. But I only attended a couple of the meetings if it had to do with an impact to Greenfield or significant to Greenfield. But they've been having trouble getting people to show up and be on the board, and the organization needs to be restructured. And so the Franklin Regional Council of Governments is doing that, and they want to retool this regional planning board so it works. And now they want to have a representative from planning board of every community as part of their.
So it's, if anyone is interested in being a part of that, I have some information that we got from Jessica Atwood. They had a meeting in October. They meet, it's the onboarding orientation packet.
I'm not volunteering, but I just wanted to clarify if it could be an alternate. If an alternate is interested.
Works for me.
I don't see why an alternate couldn't do it. They didn't specify that.
Send it to me.
Okay. I'll distribute to everybody. You can see it. Yeah, Tom, if you want to be first in line.
I mean, I don't, is it useful? I mean, was it once?
They do have a lot of good topics, and you would learn a lot of things happening regionally.
Yeah.
And then specifically to Greenfield, I think it would be useful, and I think definitely Greenfield being the county seat and the largest community in Franklin County, that there should be a representative.
I mean, I'd be interested in learning it.
Well, exactly. And you're new to the area and you'll get more familiar
Yeah,
with
well,
the
that would be.
surrounding towns and county.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
I will still send it to you. You know what you're getting yourself into.
I'll find
I'm still on the board.
You got it.
And once you sign off, I'll pick up, but can't right now. Too much on that.
We could have an alternate to have you guys ever had a alternate to a seat like that?
Well, I'm not sure. Because this isn't it's not a town committee. So I think it would be a little more flexible.
It's not an appointment, really, right?
I guess, yeah.
I think
More
I-
like a liaison?
I think you mean make
More
sure
like a
that,
liaison.
Yeah.
yeah, make sure it's a liaison, because I'm not a
Yeah.
liaison on the preservation. I'm a member.
Right,
I'm already a member now.
You're on the letter.
So you gotta be careful what you're sending them. So if it says liaison, then I'm sure that an alternate can go, but if it says a voting member,
It says member.
it says member, so then you gotta be careful, because then it shouldn't be a liaison.
It says members are appointed by the FERCog Executive Committee, so it seems like it's not an official town thing. It would be,
So we nominate.
we say, okay, this is our designee, but then FERCog is the one that's forming the group, so it wouldn't be like a town.
We want them voting on things that FERCog does. That's my question.
Well, no, it's about the region. So instead of having a local planning board,
Right,
the
right.
regional agency wants a regional board to deal with regional issues, and you want representatives from all the communities, and Greenfield being the largest.
Does the group have any power? Or is it more?
No review authority, no legal advisory in nature.
Not interested in it.
No. We don't have to worry too much about it, and then it's all very,
Check it out, and if
it's about influence.
It's all regional agencies in the
But
state.
Tom, if you end up assuming this passes and for some reason you can't attend, I wouldn't mind.
Great.
going.
Great.
I just, in this summary of operating procedures, it says alternates allowed for municipal seats.
oh,
there you go.
Oh, good.
there you go.
All right, so
Or alternates.
you'll be the primary, I'll be the backup.
Well, alternate.
Okay.
Really all power to the alternates.
And were you gonna send that description you're looking at, the rest of us as well?
I was.
That'd be great, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I'd be curious.
and anybody can go to these meetings. It's not,
Good public meetings here.
yes,
Cool.
Where do they take place?
probably if they're, well, probably virtual.
Right,
Oh.
over Change Act?
Oh, it would probably be very cool, because you got people from towns.
Yeah, they're probably
Widespread.
trying to see if I can tell.
Yeah, since COVID, I think they're virtual, but before that, they used to always, of course, be in person, and they would be held at different locations. Like
Oh,
sometimes they held it at the one of those meeting rooms at the hotel there, the Rotary. I forget which one it is, but
It says at least one meeting per year will be held in person at the transit center. All other meetings will be over Zoom.
Oh, it even says the time.
Thursdays at 6 PM, which is not a conflict for us, right? It's every Thursday.
No.
No,
Every Thursday.
did it say what Thursday?
I'm trying to find that.
Quickly walking back to your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Usually FERCog items are during the day.
That would be better.
Oh,
and after the planning board meeting, it'll be night,
Yeah.
evening meeting.
We can check. Doesn't say.
Well, since I'm an alternate here, you can always excuse me for.
Yeah.
Maybe we could suggest they move it around a little bit, because I'm sure that somebody has a conflict on every Thursday, every month, so.
We don't know which Thursday tomorrow, right?
Nope, we don't. It might not be standardized.
It's only a 25% chance.
So we don't need to make, do we need to make that an action? Making these,
Let's vote.
So moved.
It doesn't hurt to vote.
Okay.
Is it required?
Well, it's a decision, isn't it?
Yeah. So a motion to what?
I'll make a motion to designate, Thomas as the Greenfield Planning Board's,
Represent.
designate to the, sorry, what is this? Sorry, I'm not the person to do this.
Franklin Regional Council of Government Regional Planning Board Committee.
Okay, thank you very
Or-
much.
Yeah. And alternate member as well?
Oh, yeah, Erica, you the alternate.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Hi, thank you.
Okay, good. Next, here are the Sustainable Greenfield Implementation Committee's dissemination plan, and then develop a presentation plan to City Council and Mayor on recently approved updated master plan chapter.
Yeah, so I sent out early this afternoon just an outline of it's pretty straightforward, but I'll run through it and elaborate on a couple of things. First recommendation was visible posting online. And one thing that we've been discussing on the committee was using Airtable, which most of us on the committee hadn't heard of. I don't know if you folks are familiar with that. It's an app, I guess, that I looked it up, combines the familiarity of a spreadsheet with the structure of a database. It's basically a more flexible way to present the data in a more effective way to connect with it. So that would be the so we just recently were able to get funds to do for the SGIC to have an Airtable use. So I just want to mention that in case anyone's interested or wanted to check it out. But it looks like we've been getting some examples of how that would work, and it would look more accessible to the public to use that. The second was do a press release and possibly a my turn. Next was share chapter updates with relevant stakeholder groups and identified local land trusts, conservation commission, agricultural commission, etc. Sending out a memo or email to city staff, such department heads, with a link to the online updated chapters. A public event of some sort, maybe a panel discussion. We were thinking back to the I don't know who else was familiar with it, but the Delivered Downtown event we had a few days pre-COVID.
Yeah, I remember that.
Early 2020. It was at where was it?
That super spreader event.
Yeah, right.
Oxen Reed, yeah.
Oxen Reed. It was jammed. It was a wonderfully lively and well-attended event. So having something like that.
Was that for this whole planning process?
It was related to the master plan. It was specifically about downtown. And so, and the public discussion could possibly overlap. The Open Space Task Force is a subcommittee of the SGIC. And so especially the land use chapter, that they want to have public engagement. So maybe around land conservation and other work they're doing. So maybe combine that. And we're actually going to have a public event subcommittee. And I just want to add, the assumption was some planning board members would be part of those events. We're just trying to do the legwork to make these things happen. So that's the outline of things. I don't know if there's anything we missed or any comments people have to make about that, or if this seems, it's obviously an outline. So if this seems sufficient to move forward.
Question? The question is, so there was previous discussion and the full master plan was also put forth in front of the city council and they adopted it. They didn't have to by regulation, but they did. So just asking you a question of, did you think about that and you'd make a decision about that, or? This was
the SGIC's dissemination plan. And as it says in the item, that this board was going to develop a presentation plan to the city council and mayor. That was my understanding, that you wanted to get this plan before going to the council and the mayor. So that this board was going to decide how to do that, but wanted to have this dissemination plan in place.
Yeah.
Was that correct? That was my understanding.
I don't remember it.
Yeah. So you're saying this memo email to city staff, the board would, I'm still a little confused. So you're saying it will go in front of the city council for a vote? Is that what you're saying?
Well, we hadn't talked yet about whether a vote or if we want to go that route, but we did on this board say we wanted to present it to the city council and to the mayor and wanted to have.
It's not in this bullets.
And wanted to have this, yeah, that wasn't the SGIC's job. That's this board's job.
Yeah.
And so we were just wanting to, the board had said they wanted to have this, nuts and bolts of the dissemination plan before going to the mayor.
Because this could be something we tell them about.
Exactly.
Part of our presentation.
Yeah, right.
So then the step is, how do we want to move ahead with the mayor? And I assume I should, well, again, is there anything else that we're missing or other recommendations the board would have? And I assume the board would want us to, the SGIC to hold off doing any of this stuff until this board has contacted the mayor and council. That is something that seemed to be.
SGIC okay with, does that feel like a unnecessary delay, or is that these guys assumed?
It's up to it's this board's plan. So it's up to, they're at the service of this board. So.
It's like a good list of actions to me.
We thought of piggybacking on our B-Day thing, having something, is that a well-attended event? I went a couple times, but
Yes.
The what again?
B-Day, when we have our
B-Fest?
Yeah.
B-Fest,
Oh,
B-Fest,
I think the first weekend in May.
have piggybacking on that and having a presentation or a booth or whatever you want to call it. That way the public kind of see it up front, personal.
Might get more people.
There's a thought. You said a public event, so I'm thinking
Mhm.
that's one that's established. You don't have to create your own.
Exactly. Good idea.
As far as presenting to the council, I think it was really more just to show them the plan, tell them about it, and then, follow up with your recommendations. I don't think it's a big elaborate event. I don't know that we ever talked about voting on it. I don't think there's any discussion of having them vote on it.
No, we definitely did, because it was, George brought it up because we did it for the main plan itself.
Yeah, it's not necessary.
It's not required by
Right.
law.
Right. But I think the ones, they voted to endorse it or something like that.
Yeah, they voted to endorse
it. Okay.
It's a helpful thing to do because it gives it more weight. People can then point to it and say, this is the city's policy. Not something.
Exactly. It gives it more weight by the city council officially adopting it as well.
Implies that what it says is what the city wants
Exactly.
in more ways.
Also, if the city council is voting on it, the councilors will read it and like.
Take issue with it.
Well, hopefully they'll, become familiar with it. And,
Well, don't we
I don't know if they will take issue with it.
have to show them the highlights of what we've changed, because they've already voted on the plan, correct? It's already been voted on.
It's not their plans. They can.
So, I mean, we've made some updates on, so that's really all we need to bring to them, is it not? We don't have to review the whole plan again. 'Cause we've
No,
already seen
it's just the
The two
what
chapters.
we've done.
Yes.
So just get a little summary page of, these are the changes we made, and we'd like to look at them and say yes or great.
We're not taking comments really.
All right.
Yeah,
They had their chance to come to
Yeah.
meetings and
Right.
participate.
they could decline to endorse it, but at least they will still have read it.
Yeah. I think they won't, I bet it
They don't do.
seems like they'd pass that sort of thing, right?
I don't know.
And it's two new chapters. We got the whole, narrative document plus the two implementation, goal and strategy and implementation tables. So it's new and so it's updated and it's in somewhat different formatting and approach and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's great to get the endorsements. It's not, again, this is already the official, two new chapters of the master plan based on our vote.
Yeah.
And they couldn't undo that.
Right.
And so I think it'd be important to be clear, they're not voting to implement it, but it would be more to endorse it.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. As Eric said, the whole thing was a very positive, very public process back in 2014. And it was great to have, everybody on board. So.
Well, so is there a sequencing to mayor or council or just whenever either is available? Do we have an opinion on that?
I think doing them simultaneously would be good, recognizing both components of the government.
George, can you refresh my memory? I think the first time for the major plan itself, it was put on the city council agenda and endorsed by vote. But was there anything individually done specifically for the mayor? I don't think there was. I think it was just city council and a vote.
Yeah, I'm not thinking we're asking for the mayor for an action as much as just wanted to, I would think we'd want to, include the mayor. I mean, just to, present it, from the planning board to the mayor. It would seem, I don't see a downside.
No, it's
No.
presenting, but you're not seeking an endorsement from the mayor. You're just
I would think
presenting
so,
your chance.
It's a formality.
Yeah.
What kind of presentation would that be? Would we go to her office or, I'm sorry,
No, we're making it up.
or, okay. Well, I see on this dissemination, recommendations, there's memo/email to city staff. with a link to online updated chapters. But a presentation to the mayor would that be more formal?
Yeah, I mean, the idea was the board wanted to do something like that before these other things happened.
Oh, I see.
So that's what it said in the last minutes, and that was my understanding.
How involved has the mayor been in the AFC process or anybody from the mayor's office?
It's,
Do they?
I mean,
They have members?
well, we have the economic development person has been actually the planning board designee.
I designate,
And has attended long before that.
which is why she's the
Even before
designee.
she was officially a member of the.
She was going to all the meetings and the mayor didn't want two people going to the meeting, so easier just to have one person go to the meeting. That's what happened.
The mayor might also have more thoughts on how the city can help disseminate.
I do, as a fellow city employee, I can say I do like the memo and email to city staff, specifically department heads, because the master plan, for those that don't know, is heavily referenced in any of the budget presentations or like our capital requests all have a section that pertain to how does this fit? Or at least a reference point as to like, could you explain how this fits into the master plan? Or just another checkbox item, I guess.
Well, it's good.
It would be good to have some outreach from maybe this board back to the departments to like, how do we support you, support this kind of item.
That sounds good.
Or if you need help with implementation, suggestions, whatever, kind of like we rely on the tree committee for things, maybe they rely on.
Well, I just think, I mean, even point to Eric's graduation to retirement life.
Yeah.
There's a lot of turnover in city
Well,
employment.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
You know, especially if it originated in 2014, there's a lot of people that are department heads that weren't there
Going
when
around.
this document came forward.
Also,
It could be a very good opportunity to
Yeah.
sort of lay out education to just town employees that have to then represent this in their own budgets.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And it's been quite a number of years that it was incorporated into the budgetary process. And also there's been, over the years, just having been so sensitized to it, a lot of reference in council deliberation to the master plan over the years. So,
Which is cool.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think this is a great opportunity to sort of build on that and keep that momentum
Yep.
moving.
Agreed.
Well, the last thing you want is it ending up in a drawer collecting dust, which happens,
shelf.
on a shelf, whatever. That's a little bit more visibility, but a lot of communities, that's what happens. It
Yeah.
just ends up there. But what's nice with the summary page is it's, people keep that handy. It's easy to constantly tie back. Kind of like a checklist.
One thing I've appreciated over the years, Eric, is you referencing how impressed you were from the start about the activism and involvement of this plan and city employees and the SGIC being so active over the years. So I appreciate your perspective on that. So.
yeah, and in my experience over the years is there's not many communities that do a master plan and then do an implementation committee and especially a standing implementation committee. They may do an ad hoc committee initially and it disappears quick. This is a standing committee. It's been around since the formation of the plan. There may only be a couple other communities in the entire Commonwealth of Massachusetts that do that.
Yeah. But that's what makes Greenfield so unique.
Yes.
And it's kind of the culture of the city, because I know at GCC, it's also very similar. It's a big community culture here, which is one of our strengths, something to brag about.
I was impressed when I moved here after the last plan that it had been continued and kind of even and there wasn't much of a gap or any gap between the previous plan and this one. Implementation committee continued all the way to continues today. So I wonder if the dissemination plan should have recurring dissemination, not like annual updates to council and annual emails to department heads to showcase, we can introduce it this first time, but then to talk about the progress we've made. Because that's even more compelling than here's the checklist that we haven't even started on.
That's a really good point. Because I know when I've had experience working in communities with the design assessment teams that we used to do around the country, we'd put together these plans and really make sure that at implementation, we would follow back a year and, okay, what's the low hanging fruit you've got? People want to see that you've had some success and that results are happening.
Yeah.
And it's really to kind of shepherd that
And to
process along. It,
acknowledge the people that were part of implementing
right,
things,
right.
give them a
It
chance
keeps
to.
the momentum going, otherwise, again, it ends up in the dark room, Michelle collecting.
In relation to that, one requirement of the SGIC that we haven't every year fulfill is to provide a report to the mayor. That's in our ordinance. What is it?
It's in the ordinance.
Yeah. And that hasn't happened every year, so we're trying to get back on top of that. And you know, part of it would be emphasizing the mayor that we have 2 new chapters that have been completed, and now we have the economic development chapter. Is we're trying to work on getting that. This is something updating it here. So so that would be another way the mayor would be included in that from the SGIC. But
And that could be the same report that we give to the council too. The report for all audiences. Scorecard, whatever. Okay, so what is the action that we take? Do we just tell the committee to go reach out to the council? Do we put this propose it for their agenda?
Make a presentation, said what.
The action of getting on the agenda or floating this with the council president, or
What do you think of timing?
are you ready to talk about it?
well, my suggestion would be, especially when we're talking about the council, it's a new council next year. So, you know, sometime in the next couple of months of the new year.
Yeah.
And one of the agenda items, the new planning director will be doing for you as the board, you know, as your staff person.
Okay, so speaking of which. So that's something I think that's right. The timing should be in front of the new counselors, maybe not the first meeting.
Try and set a date like April, May, something, so we say
When is the first meeting where all the new folks are there?
January.
Yeah.
January 6th is their swearing in.
So we'd want to do it, we'd want to do that before we're having the event. And I think the SGAC have been talking about March or April or something like that for an event.
Yes, maybe in
So-
February.
So go before the council and, you know, do some kind of, you know, thing with the mayor, you know, prior to that. So I would say it's in February.
Yeah.
Have a little photo up to the paper, make sure it's posted online.
Put that in the plan.
No, but really, so people know that
Sure.
this, for people who miss the public, you know, process
Mhm.
or whatever. I think it's good. You want to disseminate, get the word out,
Yeah.
celebrate this.
Kind of nice that it's getting
Nice.
developed
Exciting.
in stages too, so
But
people didn't get a chance to, there's another one coming, they can
Right.
participate in.
We only have one meeting to put it together. We do it in February, we have to do our presentation in January.
Exactly.
To build it.
Yes.
Did I see on our agenda that the next meeting's in February? Do we not have a?
No,
January is like the
I think that might
first
be-
time.
It's a discussion item basically, but
Oh.
we were required to put a date on there and the board's not meeting January 1st because it's a
Oh,
holiday.
that's the Thursday.
So I had to put a date on there, which is the next meeting. But you may want to schedule a special meeting in January.
Oh,
That's first.
got it. Okay, we'll come back to that.
The historical commission needs to.
All right, so what do we do? Do we vote on something?
I think you just reach consensus to do that time frame, and it's in minutes and.
Do you have another touch point with SGIC in the meantime? When is your next?
Yes, I'll go back to, we're meeting on the 18th in a couple of weeks, and I'll go back and say, you know, that this overall outline is approved, and with some notes about like having current updates, thinking about the B Fest as the timing, and sending the annual report to the council as well, as the mayor, which is the requirement. Yeah, I'll report back at our next meeting, but just let them know, and also that I'm assuming that the actions to do these things would be on hold until the council and mayor are
Right, yeah.
contacted by this board. Okay.
And
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
George, as far as developing like maybe some visuals on the changes and whatnot, like an outline to present, is that something that that group puts together, or
Certainly,
would we kind of bring those changes here and we would develop that?
it's up to this, it's the board's plan. And if you want to give any guidance or request. So you're saying,
Well, we talked about making a presentation. I'm just wondering whose hat does that fall on?
gotcha.
Ours or theirs?
And you're talking about presentation to the council?
Yeah.
Or the mayor,
Or the mayor, yeah,
or both.
yeah. And I didn't know, Eric, if you were saying something about, the staff taking on some of that.
Yeah, I would assume that if I was still here, I'd be the one
Okay.
meeting with the board and preparing the presentation based on the meeting minutes, with your review and approval, but.
Sounds right.
Cool.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so George, you will check back in with the SGIC, just update them and then update us on how that went.
Yep.
And Eric, you will put on someone else's to-do list. Let's list to start thinking about this presentation, format, the content, working from our notes from the document itself.
So just to make I'm not sure I'm clear on all this. So the basic presentation really should be that we have 2 new chapters, right? Because they've already approved, so it's basically a focus on the 2 new chapters that we've implemented and just an outline of what those chapters are about. Because I don't remember us making lots of changes in it, but I don't know that, and I don't mean to downplay any of the changes, but we're substantive. In other words, we put a whole lot of teeth into something, or we took out a lot of teeth. I remember it being more fine tuning and tweaking, as I recall. So they're really just a presentation of, here are 2 new chapters that we've implemented as part of the master plan, and here's how we plan to disseminate it. Would that be the extent of a presentation? Or is there more to it than that?
That's the bulk of it, right?
If you would like to ask the SGIC if we can come up with something as a
Framework?
or something about the presentation of the council or something like that, I can ask.
Yeah.
The committee's up to doing that, so
Yes.
and collaborate with staff if that would.
It'll be interesting to get their views on what the major changes are. What are the salient ones? Not all of them, but what are the high points?
And coordinate with you and planning department.
Yeah.
Actually changes or as much as there are additions?
Yeah, we had some additions.
We had additions, we added 2
Yeah.
chapters, we really didn't change the old stuff.
But I think to Peter's point before about the department heads, half the people in the room have never seen the 2014 one. So
Like we part of the dissemination, here's the whole package, but the presentation is, here's what we've added.
here's how great it is that this has been going on for 10 years, 11 years in the county too.
To give it some
Which
context.
is why the committee itself would be a great fit.
Okay.
I think at the table, if not delivering or hearing the delivered presentation.
Yeah.
But anyway, whatever the.
Actually giving the presentation, if I was here, it wouldn't be me, it would be you guys, but I would help with preparation. Yes.
Sure.
The actual giving of the presentation, I assume would be someone else, either you or the SGIC.
SGIC, yeah, okay. So those are some thoughts the SGIC can weigh in on. Okay. We have our long items coming up. Ella, are you planning on staying until midnight with the rest of us?
Yes.
Should we bring that agenda item forward, Eric?
I would do that now.
Let's talk about something that's going to be something we'll be working on for a long time. It might be a good time to introduce you and bring it up to the.
Great.
So let's jump ahead to item 6F, succession planning. New planning director to start early December, and we did have a public comment on this one that I don't know if it's relevant because it's kind of been superseded, but you can read it.
Okay, well, He's gonna watch this tape, so I'm gonna read his question. So number 3, Director of Planning Hiring. This is from Mr. Al Norman. Has the mayor forwarded to the Appointments Committee or Planning Board any list of potential applicants to replace Eric Dwork? Will appointments be holding a public meeting to interview candidates? And the answer to that is the city has already hired a new planning director who was already started working. And I would like to introduce that individual. See you with the camera, can see you when people can meet you. And you can sit here, actually.
Thanks, Eric.
Hello, wise experience in Boston and with the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission, which is Boston's regional planning agency. Hello.
Hello, good to meet everyone.
You as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I look forward to working here.
What's going on, names be helpful?
I've picked up some, but sure, yeah.
George.
Erica.
Victor. Oh, this guy.
Peter,
Sarah.
Jeff,
Great.
it's okay if you forget them all.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you can always look on the city website.
Yeah.
Are we supposed to have like placards in front of us?
Well, maybe. I was wondering about that.
Sounds we do.
But since we've been meeting hybrid here and it's chaos and the camera, I haven't been using the name tags. When we met in person, of course.
Yeah.
Got name tags.
Right.
Yeah, I guess it would be hard to place them where the
Public can see
recording
it.
would, yeah.
You can't see that.
Just pick them all around anyway.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thanks. I can give a little bit more about myself.
Please do.
I've been a planner for over a decade. I have my master's degree from UC Berkeley, and I worked out in California for a while on state land use and climate transportation policy advocacy, and then moved back to Boston, where my husband went to grad school. It was his turn. I followed him. So there I worked for the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, the Regional Planning Council, so like FERCog, and provided technical assistance for municipalities. And now I'm a planner at the city of Boston. So I am relocating with my family to be my 2 young sons and husband. And I'm currently in that process. So it's kind of a soft start for me. And I'm so appreciative of Eric's diligence and discipline and organization and generosity in this transition. Thank you so much for your training, Eric. Yeah, look forward to working with you more.
Did you specialize in anything in particular with your technical assistance?
I wrote general plans and open space plans and economic development plans. So I was literally on the generalist team
Yeah, okay.
That was at MAPC or at the city of Boston?
at MAPC. So at the city of Boston, I joined when Mayor Boo was elected, and my first position was more operational, implementing some of her priorities for the department, which were really about reform to make the department more transparent and reliable for developers. And then not anymore. I reviewed development projects. So I was a senior planner.
And what drew you to Western Mass?
I'm from the Hudson Valley. I'm from a small town, 3,000 people in the Hudson Valley.
Which town?
Which town?
Stone Ridge, Marbletown. It's between Kingston and New Falls. And that's where I first fell in love with planning and started thinking about relationship to place, and how places can build community. And have had the honor and gained experience in different places. And now I have 2 kids, and my in-laws live in the Pioneer Valley, and my brother-in-law does too. So we wanted to be closer to family, and kind of like I wanted to finally return to a smaller geography.
Yes. Thank you.
You picked a good time to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Welcome.
Thanks.
Lucky to have you.
Thank you.
And I wanted to say, I am so relieved. When you told us, Eric, that you were leaving, it was like, good for you. What about us? And, having collaborated with you for many years, I've so appreciated your expertise and your experience and your professionalism. And so it was just, and there's so much, as I know we talked about, the institutional knowledge that you have, and the idea of a new person coming in to take your place wouldn't have a chance to gain from that. I mean, as I know, there's a lot to absorb quickly, but I'm so pleased that you were able to be hired while Eric was still here. So I think that's great. So from the point of view of the resource to the board. It's just so vital. So
I give credit to the Mayor DeSorbo on that, made a wise decision.
nice. So I know in this county, there's a lot of you hear about a lot of planning boards. They have no professional staff. I said, boy, are we lucky? So.
Great. Well, anything else?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I sit here?
No,
Please, yeah.
Yeah, definitely join us.
Welcome to participate. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So now we can go back to items. So we're doing items D and E at the same time. Discussion of approach to design guidelines for downtown and other development areas, discussion thresholds and criteria for site plan review and major development review. Because we just think that whole regime needs to be evaluated, looked at from a first principles perspective, but also with reference to lots of other documents across the state. So we're not just going to make things up that we think make sense. We're going to reference documents that already exist that are effective in their context. There'll be public process, public hearings. We'll figure that out as we go so that everyone has a chance to weigh in. And then we've talked about also implementing changes incrementally, starting with the easiest things, not necessarily going straight to rebuilding the zoning code or something challenging like that. But I mean, you witnessed one of the first things we've been working on, working with the tree committee to get some better guidelines in place that we can implement through our existing authority. So we've given ourselves some, actually, I know there was a public comment on this. Eric, do you want?
Yes. Public comment from Al Norman. So major development review. His question is, what specific list of changes in the MDR regs is the planning board considering? Did the city council or mayor ask the planning board to propose changes to the MDR? Or was this agenda something the planning board initiated on its own? Is the goal to ease or relax MDR thresholds?
And we were not asked to do this.
it's our own idea.
We've been talking about for a while and we just did it on our own. We don't have an opinion on the MDR thresholds at the moment. Haven't gotten there yet. So can't comment on the rest of the comments, but.
Thank you for answering this question.
But also, can I add something to what you're saying? We just had city council approved a height maximum height change, which is significant for the downtown. And that needs, it's not, I don't personally, I mean, I know the public commenters made the same comment also. I don't personally think it's a one size fits all solution, that extreme height. So I think design guidelines and could really help fine tune that so we don't destroy our urban downtown core that everybody treasures and loves so much.
Yeah.
So I just think that's a real, for me, that's a priority to really address that.
Sure.
So, because it's never one size fits all.
That's right.
So anyway, I think there's an urgency there for that, but
Sure.
that's another reason to pick up these design guidelines and do something about it.
So we gave ourselves some homework. Eric collected almost every design guidelines that's ever been written.
Oh, no, there's a lot more.
Yeah.
There's a lot more.
There's a whole lot more.
That's true, but it was a 17.
I almost started sharing some with people, but I refrained.
Yeah. So we looked at those in the past couple of months. I sent out a worksheet to help organize our thoughts on that, if that was useful for people. I worked with Claude a little bit, the Anthropic AI tool, to try to process all 17 and developed a 45-page report for me that I've been referencing that just creates a
ChatGPT did mine in 9. So
it was a 2-page one, and then I asked it to elaborate extensively, and then I asked it to pay more money halfway through. It's like putting another coin in the. We have a professional license for it, and it still wasn't enough to get through all 17 documents.
Oh, my God.
But extremely helpful. These days, those resources are very trustworthy and reliable for this kind of thing. I mean, obviously, we're not going to have AI generate our zoning code, but Claude in particular, I've found is excellent for this sort of thing.
It just reads and summarizes for you, right?
Yeah, but you can look at the internet, it can, look at other. I was very impressed. So from an open meeting law stand, I was gonna send, just like, so you prepared something that you brought to the meeting. I prepared something I was thinking about sending, I didn't for open meeting law reasons. Can we, if we're working on things like this and we put something together that isn't filled with our opinions, it's just a reference, it's a compilation, or it might, I mean, it's completely objective, I didn't even produce it. Can we share those sorts of things ahead of time, or do we have to bring them to the meeting?
Share ahead of time.
Okay, so I can send them directly.
Okay.
What we can't do is respond with comment.
Or comment on the doc itself.
Right.
If you have to make it view only.
Yep.
Okay, so moving forward, if we come up with reference documents or things, I guess send them to me, I can disseminate them to the board.
Good to know.
Yeah, as long as it's not like you say, it's not expressing an opinion, it's just providing
It's
information.
not like this is what I think we should do,
Right.
this is what I found that people should look at.
No, that's very, more efficient, effective than if we can read stuff ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that I noticed, or I thought a lot of them were really pretty good, but the thing I don't know that we have is I got the impression reading those plans that each of these towns had either a board or a department or someone who reviewed everything. So these things all went before this design review committee. We don't have anything, and we don't have to review everything. Someone can come to Eric, get a permit, get the thing built, because it all fits all the zoning laws, and we don't ever see it, right? That's correct.
Yeah, if it's a use allowed by right, it doesn't require to come before
So
the board, yeah.
let's take let's take a building, Bonnie B's downtown,
Yeah.
okay? Someone buys Bonnie B's, designs a building, meets all the code requirements of the building. That's it, it's done. We never see it because it meets all the code requirements. So we don't get the chance to look at the elevation or to say, this is the materials being built. Am I correct or incorrect?
If it's an existing building that has a use in it and somebody buys the building, they're doing the exact same use, but they might be doing some modifications to the building.
How about a new
It
building?
would not go
What
before
if they
you.
tear it down and build a new building?
Then it would come before you.
It would come before us. Under what
As a site-
requirement?
As a site plan review, depending,
Site plan.
yeah,
review.
because the size of the new building would
Okay,
be likely over a certain square footage, which
Okay.
would come before the board.
but an existing building that's just being bought and repurposed would not necessarily.
Well, the example, the bank, the old
the-
Fleet Bank, they didn't have elevations. They came before us, they showed us plans, no elevations on a main artery.
So that was my concern is
And
that
that's,
maybe the first step we
that's
need
something
here
we have
is
to rectify.
to create the mechanism.
Came just because of the change in use, is that the reason?
It came before you because of the size of the facility, over 5,000 square feet. So the board does site plan review. But an existing redevelopment site like that, and they're not doing exterior changes and the use
Aside from
allowed
it-
by right, why would they provide elevations?
Well, they had that big addition, that big windowless addition.
They could have provided elevations.
There were no elevations.
Yes, there should have been elevations. But not.
On the street, no windows.
I think that your question is one of the ones we're dealing with here. What are the triggers for what types of review and who reviews it? Those are all on the table.
So, okay.
If it's,
So something as simple as anything in the CBD.
we could say it's on Main Street and it's,
Right, that same thing we talked about defining the streets boundaries.
yeah, so that's,
Or actually do that.
Yeah, yeah, one of the, I can share my list with everyone, but some of the plans, they had the whole city and they identified corridors where they want to see this implemented. Because we don't have to limit ourselves to downtown. I think we should, when we do this plan, really think ahead to growth in the future. Imagine a future where Greenfield is booming and there is going to be development. And we want to have something walkable and livable on Federal Street, on the Main Street artery, and some secondary arteries that support, some residential areas that, I mean, we should really think ahead in that. And that's where those kind of plans, color-coded plans can come in useful. Of those diagrams, actually.
I really liked, I think it was Dedham that, I don't even know if I'm saying that the name of that town correctly,
Yeah,
but
it's great.
yeah, Dedham. I really liked how it talked about the goals. And I would like us to discuss the goals because they're so different. All the different documents they seem to have different goals. Like Springfield is focused on houses. I'm like, we focus on houses? And most of them are focused on like the downtown core. But I'm just gonna say like my goals, like what I think is like low hanging fruit where we might start is one, improving the pedestrian experience. And that can include a lot of things. It could include windows, setbacks, aesthetics, but I mean, I guess I would focus less on that, and trees,
Lighting.
landscaping.
Curb cuts.
So yeah, exactly, yeah. Improving the pedestrian experience. I liked that one. And then another one, which hopefully will be low hanging fruit, is reducing stormwater runoff. I know that's an issue in Greenfield. And that also really ties in with trees. So that's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, I guess one thing we need to talk about is there's so many dimensions to these. We've already alluded to some of them, not all of them. What's the most logical place to start? Is it picking the geographic scope? Is it determining what the triggers are? Is it the goals? Makes a lot of sense. So what are we trying to accomplish? And then we can decide the best way to accomplish it. Like that feels like a good critical path to me. It could be the goals for the first pass of the goals. Then the goals can evolve over time with everything else, but
I liked the idea of focusing on the goals because as you noticed there, I thought some that were so different, you know. I mean, I like the Spencer one. I was pretty impressed with for what it did have. It seemed like it missed some things, but the focus was very clear. They wanted to bring revitalization to downtown and protect kind of the historic character, but encourage more development, infill as well as new, and do it in a way that it was.
And each section had the principles and then the guidelines.
They were, I almost agree with all of it. I thought what was not in there were the two things you mentioned. One was there wasn't enough focus on sort of the pedestrian livable, making it livable downtown, walkable downtown, the pedestrian experience. It was very heavily about signage and the physical. So they had a landscaping section, but it was the shortest one. And, you know, there just wasn't that much in there. So I didn't think they had enough there, and there was very little on stormwater. It was something about, you know, rain gardens, but very little. So it feels like it could have used more, but I thought what it did have was very clear, and the point was clear about why we're doing it. And, you know, it was clearly was designed, it was advisory. This was a supplement, the code. It wasn't to be incorporated in the code. My personal view would be not to do this in the zoning code and to make it advisory at this point. And we're giving guidelines, and that's what theirs was. So, I mean, I thought there was some really good, as you pointed out, some really strong ones.
Oh, yeah.
That one, though, clearly, to me, it had a purpose. You know, where we'd focus it, but I don't think we want to do something citywide. We want to do stuff in neighborhoods and into houses, and that some of the other plans were. So I think we do have to get clear on why we're doing it, what the goals are.
Well, I think part of us is we don't really have, I don't notice neighborhoods. Like a lot of these towns had real neighborhoods with a distinct type of housing. I don't really see that in Greenfield. Maybe I'm wrong. So I thought we were going to focus on CBD, pretty much defining that corridor and then starting there, because I think we need to save the CBD first. I mean, to me, that it's just not a place, in my opinion, not a place people enjoy going to on a regular basis. So I think we need to kind of focus and get that. Then we can kind of branch out into neighborhoods if we want to, you know, do things with housing. I don't think housing is personally, I don't think it's a priority right now. Downtown is something that we need to, in my opinion, save, because it's a real hodgepodge. It's a real, you know, there's no consistency. What used to be consistency is all now torn up and taken apart. And I think with that's my my thought. And so I think that a good idea would be start, where do we want to focus? What's our geographical focus? And once we've got that down, then we can kind of look at the guidelines and say, what addresses these aspects in this focus? And I'm thinking, one of the things a lot of people use is that things should complement existing. There's a lot of should complement existing. So going to your heights, they try to avoid having a 2-story building and a 6-story building. They kind of said, the masses need the complement. So getting that kind of stuff in place seems easy to do. I mean, it just does.
But not every landowner cares about their neighbor and context.
But again, if there's going to be guidelines, I mean, and we review the guidelines, we can deny the permit. Say,
Right.
you don't meet our guidelines.
Yeah.
Your height doesn't complement next door, so we're not going to allow you to build that. I mean, I assume we would do that. Otherwise, there's no point in putting these guidelines out. We have to have the
Well, guidelines don't have.
fortitude to say no, but we can say no because it doesn't meet our guidelines. It doesn't meet our guidelines, so we can say no.
That's if it's enforceable, if it's a recommendation.
We still say no. I mean, why can't we say no?
Well, it all depends. Now it's gonna mention.
Then what's the point of a guideline? If we can't say no to something we'd like to see, then what's the point of
There's
even doing it?
requirements and there's guidelines and those
Yeah.
are different concepts.
I understand that.
Yeah.
George?
Oh, well, that's what we have to establish.
Thank you. Yeah, I thought a number of them, as you said, Spencer, I think it was talked about supplementary provisions to the site plan review. Winchester and Boxborough talked about it augments. And there were a number of them had design review boards or committees that would then pass along recommendations to the planning board, but they didn't seem particularly enforceable. I was struck by one comment in the Blackstone. We were talking about that Supreme Court has upheld the notion within the authority of government to protect and promote aesthetic character of communities. And I thought it was interesting because I wouldn't have assumed that. And they said, but it can be hotly debated because you're relying on subjective opinion, so should strive to be as clear and consistent as possible. That obviously makes sense. So I appreciated that, both that it is something that the community can be empowered to do, but also the delicacy with which you want to implement it. And I like the idea of focusing. A lot of these were focused on historic downtowns, so really resonated. And it's hard to. You're reading through all these, and you're not doing an AI. It's hard to incorporate them all in my brain anyway. But there were a lot of useful things. So I think, and I agree, it's not so much neighborhoods we're talking about, but we're talking about downtown, and we're talking about, as you said, corridors. And my thought would be that we'd want to focus on those two things. And I don't think the standards would necessarily be the same for the downtown and for the corridors, like for Federal Street. So that would be my thought. And as far as the low-hanging fruit question, I thought, and getting this from the tree committee is very timely because I thought that's something that we can start with, incorporating that somehow into recommendations, or at least we're enhancing our knowledge of that component that's so important to all these things, like pedestrian experience and stormwater runoff. I mean, those tie into those issues. So those are some of my thoughts. Thanks.
I had a couple of things just overall. I think it would be good for us to identify the audience, because you have developers that are going to look at this, you have designers that are going to look at this, you have landowners, you have prospective people looking to invest in the area, business owners. There are going to be a lot of people looking at these guidelines. And it might be good to make sure that the information, and plus residents of Greenfield, it would be good that the information appeals to all of those different groups and provides something useful, that people can embrace it, can support it, so we can actually implement it and get it approved. So that was one thing, that layering of audience, and make sure that we address those. And it could be different aspects of the information. Some of these plans were very history-based, and there was a lot of historic photographs. And clearly the towns that's in, like Salem, that's an important part of Salem, that historic character. People come there for the history. That's a big part of their economic development. But I think if we go back to the master plan we just did, we can pull out different action items that have a physical built environment aspect and tie into those and make sure our guidelines address that. That's a couple of things. I have a whole bunch more. Rather than take up the time, I'm going to share them with
Yeah,
everyone.
you can send,
But-
everybody send your notes to me and then
Yeah.
I'll distribute them in a single.
But,
package.
and then the other thing that I really appreciated, knowing how people read very quickly and will look at something, you need somehow to grab them. And which one was it? Let's see. Well, Spencer, I like the principles and guidelines organizations. Winchester had a great, very simple structure, but they had the little postage stamp images with a summary of the guideline, and they went into it. So it was very easy to look at that, have something grab you, and then read it and understand it very clearly. Also, some of the plans used a lot of existing images, either from the town or elsewhere, with examples, and then they did overlay graphics showing that this is why this is good, or this is why this doesn't work. So I think the good and bad, I know in Amherst, when I was on the zoning review board, we had a lot of stuff for the downtown signs, and there was, yes, this is good, this is bad, an example of both. And we could pull some of the good examples from Greenfield, the bad ones we want to pull them from elsewhere so we don't ruffle any feathers. But anyway, some of those visual things, again, thinking about how somebody might pick this up and read through it and how we kind of pull them into it or get their support, to implement this, because this is a big step for Greenfield if we do make it a required. Not just a suggested, but an actual guideline that has to be followed.
I think that
I'll stop there.
you're right about the master plan tie-ins. I've been thinking about the commenter's question, why are we doing this? What right do we have to take this on? The master plan we just updated a big chunk of the master plan. There's another update coming that pertains to the things that design guidelines regulate. So this is a way of taking some of those recommendations that maybe had been communicated in spirit and putting them into action in various ways. And then the justification for starting in the downtown is that's where things are changing.
Mhm.
You can make all the guidelines you want for a neighborhood that's never going to change, and guidelines apply to things that are changing. They don't apply to things that are already there. So pointless to be operating outside of that context. So I think it's not hard to come up with, to see a mandate to do this now and to focus on downtown.
Mhm.
And maybe in corridors that are also undergoing
Right.
change.
And get people excited about how useful this can be. And yes, we want to apply it to the corridor later.
It could be something that the SGIC says is one of the implementation. It's kind of an indirect implementation action. It's trying to take on some of those items in the ways that we can, it's part of our work.
But addressing stormwater and trees, that could be applied to the whole city.
And some of those are the types of items that might already be in our authority also. I mean, trees, we've kind of established that as, so those can be things we can do sooner without having to.
And we already have something, and I'll turn it back to this. We already have something in our planning, in our bylaws. Like for residential, it's really recommended that cars and parking be on the side and not on the front, and that garage be set back when possible. That's a design guideline.
Yep.
And that's already in there, in our planning, in our bylaws.
Could
Sorry.
part of the plan that would be focusing on the non-downtown be in site review for stormwater and trees, and could it be handled through that mechanism? And then the design is more of an advisory guideline, so we have sort of almost two frameworks.
I mean,
Just a thought, I don't know how you get, because it feels like some of this stuff does go beyond downtown, but we don't want to do design review for beyond downtown, so it feels like there's two constructs here.
I think I was going to say, like implied in what you just said, with with the looking at major development review changes in downtown, was revisions to major development review thresholds. But it's interesting right now, major development review mostly applies to like big box development on the outskirts, where they do a traffic study and find the number of trips per day and compare it, that kind of thing. So it sounds like you're saying that we should look at different ways to conceive of major development.
We should validate whether or not those thresholds, if those are the right triggers or not. This could be, maybe we need to add triggers. I think that the political context is that we've been debating over how many car trip generation, how many car trip is the right number or the wrong number. And it's just so much more to the world than car trips.
So concentrated on traffic.
Yeah, not to say that traffic isn't important, but so is a bunch of other stuff. So, yeah.
I think we're trying to, yeah, so are pedestrians. And I think we're trying to get at something that's like, what is a big change to the character of Greenfield? And it's hard to put your finger on what exactly that means
Yes, it's true.
in a quantifiable way.
It is necessary to, you have to be able to describe what the character is. Because you say, it might or might not be a real discernible character, or that we have to then therefore go and protect in every case. That we can communicate a character we're looking for, what we think is the right character to. George?
Yeah, I just want to say, as far as the MDR, so, yeah. It's not just about traffic, it's also about the size of the non-residential use. And it had been, this section was deleted, an expansion of existing use. When expansion exceeds 20% of the existing use as far as vehicle trips, dwelling units, building lots, or gross floor area. So I do think, as I've said before, I think the discussion of the MDR, the thresholds for the MDR and design guidelines, there's some overlap, but I think they're somewhat separate. And I think it's important because when we do have something that's considered major, that is really large and will generate a lot of traffic, and I wouldn't be too dismissive of car trips, and I think it's an important consideration. I think it would be reasonable to, based on the history of this, as I've said before, these were random changes based on a political situation, expediency, and I think it would be good if we brought some rational perspective to it. So I think it's a somewhat parallel thing. I think incorporating some design guidelines into the MDR would also make sense, but I just would, I'm advocating for, looking at that from a threshold perspective as well.
But the MDR issues really are not primarily design. I mean, they're like different issues.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in MDR, you're doing a site plan review, you're doing a special permit. So if those factors are put into either one of those,
That would catch
processes.
Some of the documents, there's one specifically on large box development,
Yeah.
but many of them did reference large developments, large blank wall spaces, how to, architecturalize those spaces and not just have blank brick or some other type of material. That I think would play directly into areas of the MDR that could be expanded to say, okay, maybe soften some of the tone around
That's what
these big projects. Like when those come forward, okay, this MDR does give us the teeth to say, you're not going to build a big ugly box. Like we can make something, lay out some guidelines to make it more attractive for Greenfield.
And all of those examples, there is documented economic, what's the word I'm looking for? Anyway, they're based on success. That show economically, you've got to do this. The design does matter. And with big box stores, with all of those different elements that came up through different plans, that's based on success and numbers, real numbers, concrete numbers.
When you said soften the tone, I was actually thinking of it from a totally different point of view. I was thinking of if we were to propose a revision of the MDR that was about the thresholds, bringing those back into line with a rational approach, but also incorporated some design elements. So we're refreshing it. It might be because of the history of this. And some people say, hey, that was a deal, that was the compromise. And there could be some resistance from, members.
We start
of council.
talking major changes with MDR, I think we're gonna be holding a public hearing at the high school. That's, I think, what you're going towards.
Well, I think there's some, but I
It
think.
attract a lot of communication.
Exactly. And some people are going to be biased in the sense of, well, you shouldn't really consider that because that was a done deal. We got the library, so stop with your, adjusting the MDR changes. But I think that, giving it from the point of view, we're just relooking at this. It's been a number of years. And also, we're not just looking at the thresholds, but we're looking at design elements as well. I think that could make it more palatable.
Yeah, it makes it
More people.
more robust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just a targeted.
Right.
They're not exclusive. I think, one supports the other. It doesn't have to be, oh, you can't do that. It's supporting it.
Well, are we thinking about sequencing this in some ways? Because, if we could do some things that are smaller and show what we're about, and, this is reasonable and thoughtful, and even design and advisory guidelines are a way of showing what, because they're advisory. The MDR is that's a more complicated discussion. So maybe we could figure if we could take this in pieces and get some momentum, positive momentum.
I would hate to see a long drawn out process like we just have with the ADU.
Yeah.
Really need to get buy-in here.
For what it's worth, I think anything we come up with is an added rule. The world will be a more restrictive place than it was before. That's the fear that people have, is that we'll make it less restrictive. But adding rules makes it more restrictive. So maybe there's just a mission statement or intention statement. We're adding rules. We're not taking rules away. So lay off or come help up with the rules. Don't, accuse us of trying to take them all away. So I think it's yes and we're not going to, maybe we won't even touch that at all ever. And we just add these other things that we think are important because they're missing altogether. That's covered. But there's other things that you can still build a big ugly building right now. So, it'd be better if you could if you were required to build something that's attractive and contributes in all these other ways.
And just point out the thresholds mean, you have less scrutiny
Yeah, that's
by the thresholds having been made so much.
Yeah, so I think we will come up with what thresholds make sense. Like to the point of that you made of there should be some rationale behind this. The triggers and thresholds should be based in some logic, not this 1,000 or that 1,000. We might decide, based on all the things we've learned and looked at all these examples, we believe that this is the right number.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter at all what the number used to be. This is what the right number should be. And we'll talk to the public about that and everything.
Yep.
So, and I'm not predicting that we're not going to start with traffic counts. We're not going to, because that's already been, I think part of what we're going to talk about in these conversations first is what are the types of things we need to talk about? Like, what are the contents? What's that table of contents look like? Then we work our way towards the specifics and the actual numbers. And if there are numbers,
Well, some of us might want to work on traffic counts, but
we can.
that would be
But it's not the only,
but
it's not the only thing we're going to work on. I don't want it to be the only thing we talk about.
Gotcha. Totally gotcha. Yeah.
Going back now, this great discussion, but go back to the design guidelines, just a quick question for the board. What is the end result? Do you anticipate that you will hire a consulting firm to prepare this very complicated document with graphics and so it costs money, like the master plan? We had to pay $150,000 for someone to prepare our master plan. Are you proposing in-house to do this design guideline document or hiring a consultant to prepare based on planning board?
It's a great point. Some things we've been able to do on our own, very incrementally. There is a time and a place. Most of these documents we looked at were produced by consultants. I'm curious what your level of interest and expertise is in design guidelines. Too.
Yeah, well, it depends on what you want. I think if there's going to be illustrations, I'm not an architect, I'm not an urban designer. And so I think that you would need to procure services for that.
That's my thought.
Why can't we use what we have? I mean, why can't we cut and paste and borrow? Because not only one was copyrighted that I saw. So why can't we do that? Why can't we say, look, we like this section on stormwater. Let's cut it out, stick it on a paper, look at it, see what we think about it, tweak it, and do sections at a time. If it's massing, we'll print out a couple of sections on massing. plop them down. Our homework is look at it, see what you think, tweak it, and cobble something together. I mean,
I think there's probably a lot of opportunities for that. If we need some engineer to tell us what the right number is, we can't cobble that together, but I think you're right that one value of having 17 examples that we like is.
Yeah, I mean, they're great plans.
Like that kind of work.
Change the name and change the photos.
Yeah.
You know, and you're
Only
done.
one is copyrighted? That's
Only
great.
one.
Wow.
Even if it's
a copyright on it.
IP, well, it's not actually copyright. We
It
can,
was.
but we can,
I'm not implying, but it's saying, there's no weakness. I don't see any fear for us using what someone else has worked on and done.
also there,
It could save us a lot of.
A lot of them
time
were
and
using pictures from their own community.
trouble. Yeah,
We can do
we
that.
can do
That's all we
that.
can
Some
do.
of them were just historical photos from.
But
other
there are
places.
also national organizations that have developed guidelines, like livable communities.
Yeah,
or
one of them
Big
was
Streets
that.
or whatever. That kind of stuff, I think we can say, hey, this is what we're using. This is based on research, on studies, on concrete results, and we are implementing that.
Yes.
You know,
I think this goes back to our discussion the last meeting we had when we talked about like taking an iterative approach and like looking at this over time. And maybe starting with something that's easier and then building up to something that's more formalized. So we could start with a less, I don't know, professional document and just have kind of like text, or some like minimal visual guidelines. And then as we get more experience or more as problems come up or as, ideas develop, we could add to it.
that's how the Amherst guidelines were when I was on the board. They're completely different now. They've been done professionally, but when I was on there, it was very basic.
That way it gets refined over time.
Mhm.
And it was very in-house.
George.
Volunteer help.
Yeah, I was struck that in the Winchester Clark County one, they referenced Fort Collins, Colorado, and said that their research indicates that that has become the model that communities are basing their design standards and ordinances on. So I don't know if anyone else caught that, and it seemed intriguing. That it's been a model for a lot of different communities. We'll have to check if this is copyright.
Their plan
Their
or experience?
what they've done as far as design guidelines has become the model that many are referencing.
Yeah, they are cited that CNU, Congregation Urbanism. Also, it's another one, but there's what is the Urban Land Institute? Is it ULI that's work around the country and cities?
Yes.
Yeah, they pull a lot. Also, they use that as an example. I put together a whole bunch of stuff when I was doing some stuff for the downtown here. I could share with people that kind of pulled from all these different entities from around the country based again on economic data and results of what works in downtowns. And there's a lot of design guideline stuff. So I don't mind sharing that with everyone because I had already pulled that all together.
Yeah.
Just one procedural thing I want to mention, as far as what we're sharing, because you mentioned that we could share our notes with you, but my notes are a lot about what I liked or didn't like, and it sounded like, Eric, a lot of your notes were about things you favored or didn't favor, and that I don't think we
Okay.
can share.
So you're right. So maybe ahead of a meeting, it seems okay to share reference documents that are not your opinion.
Neutral.
Or compilations that you mindlessly mix some things together, but you weren't trying to embed some agenda. I would hope that once we've talked about things publicly, we can then share those publicly. If you so, like, could we have, maybe not, would you have to read that entire sheet and then now it's been on the record, so now we can share it? Or do we have to post it online somewhere so people can get to it and then we're allowed to look at it?
That's one option, of posting it in the board packet in advance, so everyone has the right to see it.
Yeah.
Can we create a site where we pull examples from other towns and we comment on them and the public has access to that?
You can't comment outside of the meeting,
Okay.
Yeah, no, that wouldn't be allowed.
but we could introduce our comments in a meeting to the
of what we're
record
looking at, and people can look at them
and then
themselves.
put it on the record and then we can go look at it and then comment on it again in the next meeting. I think the active communication only has to happen in these meetings, but seems like we should be able to, there should be a way to share things.
Mhm. I mean,
I mean, they'd be to some extent in the minutes, but it's not going to be verbatim or,
Yeah.
absolutely comprehensive.
And these meeting minutes are going to be very basic.
But yeah, no, it's hard to capture this kind of a
If
conversation.
somebody could put together a document,
They're not gonna have much detail.
is this what you put there?
if somebody could put together a document that are pieces of the other things and just share it with members of the committee, the board, for them to review ahead of time. As long as there's no opinions on it, right?
But it's your select, I don't know. So another approach, because I think it's gonna be hard for us.
This is why you hire a consultant.
Well, or it's hard for us to be organized in this process, being constrained by open meeting law and only meeting once a month. So we can get a lot of our intentions expressed and talk through some goals. What is your interest? Is it in your job description to, working with us? Is there a way you could help us be organized, or we could send you, we communicate with you, we can communicate one-on-one to some degree. But like when we send things to Eric, like you're the neutral party we can send things to, and then you can compile them and do something with them, send them back to us.
I defer to Eric. I need to read up on open meeting law, but I definitely think that this can be something that staff helps organize and use this forum to gain feedback, structured this discussion so that it's as productive as possible. You've seen a draft, and you can provide feedback, and then staff can update the draft and provide that publicly before the next meeting.
And what about a public process? Like a design, I mean, just like for the master plan, there were several public sessions that were done. What if we do something?
I think it's got to happen at some point, some sort of public.
Create a public listening session where you invite the public to you give them your goals and sort of a public outline.
Because this is very much
Take
identity
feedback and
stuff.
Yeah, I think that's an important part of the process. We should decide how, is it having a hearing at our meetings? Is it doing something more interactive? Eric?
Yeah, just, I don't like to bring this back up, but I mean, the board used to meet twice a month, first Thursday and the third Thursday. And you can do a lot more business meeting twice a month. I know you went to once a month because the retention factor was there. But this board seems to be very engaged. Might considering meeting twice a month again to get this done, these design guidelines.
We did talk last time about having more meetings or longer meetings. That's why we committed to go to 9:00 tonight.
Yeah.
So,
And we applied to AIA for one of the design grants. There, at least at the time, it was a $5,000 matching thing, and they send all the experts you need and do a community process and really. Are you familiar with the STAT grants, the AIA design assistance grants?
No.
I was very involved with them in the 2005 when they first started and on for about 5 years. But Greenfield, many times we tried to have Greenfield do one and it just never happened. But maybe this would be a great thing to bring something like that in, and you get people from around the country coming and the public participates. It's economically very doable. There's a lot of, contribution in kind, just like feeding the team that comes, but AIA pays for the rest. Their transport, their housing, et cetera.
To me, that sort of thing would be most effective.
Are you familiar with those?
I'm familiar with the ULI, whatever they're called.
So similar to that, but it's lower budget and
Yeah, so
more expensive.
When I hear more expansive and lower budget, I think of if we said, okay, we're gonna have them do this whole thing in like 3 days or 1 day. It seems like those brains maybe would be best coordinated around a specific item. So we have our list of priorities. These we can do ourselves. These would be great to have some architects help us with. Maybe it's something much more granular about the massing and the articulation of elements.
Just to clarify, it's an interdisciplinary
Okay.
team. It's not at all just architects. It's economists, it's
But
engineers.
also thinking about this transparency, if we outsource the entire conceptualization process, we lose, I don't know if people would accept that, but if we say, we're not qualified to do this part of it, but it's really important, it needs a deep dive, then we can leverage something like that and get something very concrete, tangible out of the process.
Yeah, I think that's,
Also
it's,
examples.
it's premature. And it seems like this discussion this evening is helpful because we are, and I think your outline of parameters was helpful because we're narrowing down where we're talking about, we're leaning, it sounds like, toward, at least at first, having guidelines that are non-enforceable rather than jumping into enforceable ones. And we're trying to find some, easy places to get the process started. So,
yeah.
And that's the easy, as you were saying, we can, start off with something and then you can change it. And then as you experience it and change it, then you can say, oh, we're getting closer to recommending this as an ordinance. For it as an ordinance, get a little more experience with it and stuff. So it feels like we're making a bit of headway, I think.
That feels better to me than a mega consultant-driven planning process.
Yeah.
More incremental, and that's my stuff.
And I know we have to figure out if we can have a meeting in January, speaking of meetings. So, but I think it would be important to keep this going, that we at least find some time in January, meet at least once. So,
Agreed.
I like the idea of meeting twice a month rather than trying to do a mega long meeting, which I don't think is all that productive.
Have there been, like a lot of times there's a official meeting and a working session. Would something random go on the agenda of any of the?
You could arrange it so that one agenda is just business applications and the one's a working meeting.
Okay, so one of them.
Still have to notice them.
Still, public can come, it's all notice, but it would be a working meeting and you don't.
We don't have like A&R, some random A&R that, so both meetings could have working sessions to them, but one would be insulated from.
No applications or anything else.
Other things.
Posted them up, yes.
Yeah, but, okay. I think that makes sense. With everyone here and everyone often here, I think we could staff those meetings. I travel a lot for work and this is the Thursday I protect. I might not make every third or whatever other Thursday.
I can't do Thursdays other than this one.
Yeah, right. And maybe it could be a different day too. It doesn't have to be Thursday.
Yeah, any other day, but I can't do Thursdays.
Just don't take another Thursday because there won't be any for this regional meeting.
I mean, would it be helpful to look at it? Well, I guess everybody only has evenings, right? I'm thinking the working meeting, we might want to pull a staff member from another department in the city, depending what we're focused on talking about, or. No.
They could consult amongst themselves too.
Yeah.
Bring ideas.
So we open to the idea, just not another Thursday?
Yeah, wow, another meeting.
I like Tuesdays.
Tuesdays work for me.
I love Tuesdays.
we can, come up with compatible times.
First
The timing is
Thursday,
great.
third
Wednesdays
Tuesday.
are fine too,
Of course, every Tuesday.
I have so many things on Thursdays that I've had to drop because of this, so
What I
any
can
other
do is
day would be.
look at the city board schedule and, meeting calendar schedule, see what's available for times during the month. And send it to the board.
Yeah.
Just reserve the room over in the fire department for the.
That was a nice room.
Tuesday, just did. Just put it over there and that's where we meet.
That's a great room.
That'd be great. Place to meet and a good day to meet.
Yeah, that would be.
I might know the guy that proves those.
So where we were at the fire station, where the historical commission met.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
bet there was before.
I think that was in the conference room,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, we met in the
Smaller
conference room,
front row.
smaller room.
Yeah.
The board would actually meet in the bigger.
The library is great too, but the fire station's always open, right? 24/7.
We're pretty flexible. The library does have some very great spaces as well.
it's pretty busy though.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's not open late every night. So.
What do you think? Do that?
Yeah, so we're good.
No, we're talking about spreading these out and we can't do the third Thursday. We want to look at the third week, a different day.
I think Eric was gonna see what's available. Or unless we just picked the fire station. I guess we just decided maybe we don't have to worry about that.
The third Wednesday is always a city council meeting, so I don't think that's.
No, that wouldn't be a good date. Is it Tuesday available?
I thought you liked Tuesday.
I like Tuesdays.
Okay.
but
You can't.
George doesn't like
George
Tuesdays.
doesn't.
I, of course, we're at
What time is that?
6:30 to 8:30.
Okay, so the Holy
Monday?
It's fine too.
As long as it's not a Monday morning, I'm good.
I don't work on Mondays.
Yeah, it wouldn't be good for Ella.
Friday night?
And you said it's not Wednesday.
No, every day out.
They're definitely not
Wednesday
Friday.
because of the council meeting.
I mean, I'm sure we can conflict with a city council meeting, but I just know that they're always on the third Wednesday.
Sure, yeah.
And do we feel like we have to do first, third? It's that, you know.
I was just thinking to spread it out a little bit. but
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, deal.
Yeah, it'd be ideal.
We could, if it's the working session, it could be during the city council meeting because it's not, it won't have public hearings or anything in it. Unless we like to go to those meetings.
Yeah, but how often do you guys go to the city council meetings? Not that often.
Only during budget season.
Budget season, that's about it. So
I would think, is there anybody can't do the third Wednesday?
For me, it would just depend on the city council agenda, but I could always submit my comment in advance.
Yeah, and I think one thing we'll have to do is parcel out the work. So, I mean, we're still kind of in the exploratory phase, but we'll know what we're gonna be working on that Wednesday. Maybe, we're gonna talk about this trees. We're gonna talk about if possible. And so, yeah, if
I
someone
think
can't
we
make it,
could
they can
set,
send thoughts.
because for a public meeting posting, just needs to be finalized within 48 hours.
48 hours.
So we could almost set the agenda for the working session at our regular meeting.
Yeah.
And say, okay, at this next meeting, we're going to do A, B, C.
Yep.
Or maybe it's just A, but
That's great. Okay. Third Wednesday.
We starting this month?
Well, we have to figure out our regular time is compromised next month.
Yeah, no, probably after the first of the year, you want to institute this new change and not during the holiday season.
Good, Wednesday would be the 17th, yeah, week before Christmas.
Okay.
That would be our official meeting for January.
And that would be your first meeting, official meeting in January, third Wednesday.
So is that what we're shooting for? Third Wednesday of January, but we wouldn't have it just focus on stuff like this.
Yeah, but
No,
then your
no,
first
no.
meeting, because you
That'd be
can't meet the
21st.
first, it would include regular applications.
Right.
Would
Yeah,
be the third Wednesday,
Regular meeting.
January
to be a regular
21st.
meeting. But moving forward,
Yep.
you're good to go.
So we're just gonna take a little while to get started.
But the ground will run it. Yeah.
Well, it might be also useful if we are going to be working on that to kind of set some goals for each month. Or
Peter was saying.
framework
I
that we
think-
want to follow, or I don't
I
know.
think if we wanted to continue talking about, and this is just my opinion, but maybe like structure and format and all that stuff aside,
Mhm.
if we set our first meeting or our next meeting, we could set the goal to be whatever our purpose, our preamble, our goal
Alright.
of the document we're going to work on,
There you go.
and let that sort of guide us in its creation state.
It's always so helpful.
We can make it look pretty and everything after.
Yeah, yeah.
We should get the black and white done and
Mhm.
Every time, every section of the zoning ordinance, I always go right to the purpose.
right.
Yeah, that guides you to
I
know.
mean, it's what you go to for a grant. It's
Right.
what you're looking at for any kind of,
Mhm.
like, I always go to the, what's this document cover?
Yep.
I think it's an exercise in justifying the endeavor too,
Yeah.
make it not feel arbitrary.
Yep.
Because I think in that purpose statement, we reference the master plan, we reference
Mhm.
some of these
We
things.
can sort of start to scoop together all those documents that we want to sort of extrapolate into that document.
Okay, so next meeting, Wednesday, January 17th. I guess it's a regular meeting, but we'll have some working time also, and the topic will be the goal purpose statement.
Wait,
you'll figure
Wednesday,
if
January
this is available.
17th?
Yes,
Yes.
I'll
Is
double
that-
check that it's available and
The calendar here.
set up a recurring.
That would be
meeting.
That would be the fourth.
Did I get that right? No, wait, that doesn't,
It's not
that
the,
doesn't exist. The
it's the
21st.
21st.
Is that the third one? January 21?
That's December,
21st.
December
That was
17th.
consent, okay.
21st.
The 1 week I'm not out of town, so great.
This is my calendar. I made the wrong year,
Decade.
wrong month.
You know, I very much agree with starting with the purpose, but I do think we also need to talk a little bit more when the time is right about the authority we're talking about, whether this really is a guideline, or is it a requirement?
Or recommendation.
We can't be subtle about that. We sort of have to know. I think people will be really concerned about what that is. So, and we've been talking about it in different kinds of ways. So we should, I think, talk that way through.
It is a requirement.
Is there a way that the document could encompass both? Like certain things are suggestions and certain things are requirements?
But I'm thinking if anything is really a requirement, that probably means it goes through the zoning process.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so that's just something to kind of put into our thinking. If we want to start and get something out and seeing how it works, guidelines, we can do that with our own hearing process and not actually have to go through the whole zoning thing. So, I mean, I kind of lean towards that than
I think
trying
so.
to.
All these are just guidelines, just to.
No, we could create a robust guideline document.
Yes.
And in that process, we identify things that we feel are important that we put forward as zoning changes.
And I would like to understand the answer to that question, though. If we do have guidelines in it and people say, well, no, sorry, we're not going to follow those, where is our authority to deny the site plan, you know? So that'd be interesting. I'd like to know that.
One way to think about it is with the tree guidelines, we have the authority to make determinations about trees. So maybe we can find other things if we think about them hard enough. Stormwater, pedestrian safety, comfort. There might be other things we're already empowered to regulate that,
Safety.
that to this point, we've just kind of had to make up. Which people, I mean, that's not good. We're just doing our best, but so we could come up with guidelines that we will say are our reference. But we can still say yes or no on the basis of compliance with those guidelines. And we don't have to change the zoning because we already have the authority to regulate those things.
Yeah, I think to Victor's point, you could take your guideline when we do have the authority to look at a site plan review or a major development review and say, this isn't consistent with our guideline.
And we're allowed to talk about trees. And this, so, yeah, exactly. So that's how.
And then we have a standard to refer to when we make conditions on the property.
Yeah.
That's then consistent and it doesn't look like this board is just
Right.
winging.
Right,
it.
yeah.
We have something more consistent. to-
The distinction in my mind is there are some things we'll have to modify the regulations to allow us to invoke those things because it's not within our purview. There are other things that are already within our purview that we can go ahead and just do that. But I think that is the goal ultimately is that we can use these guidelines to make yes or no decisions about things. And we just work our way towards that, starting with the things that we already are empowered to.
One of the things you have to do, I guess you have to say the site plan review has to include elevations. So then if it's part of if site plan review is our purview, then we say the requirement for the zoning laws that site plans need to provide elevations.
That's already in.
It already has that.
We
Yeah.
never get them. Very rarely do we
Yeah.
get an elevation when we look at all these site plans.
Yeah.
Well,
But you
Very
don't get
rare.
like new projects, they're all redevelopment projects.
So you still, but if it's a requirement of the site
And
plan.
then
why
there's
not?
no exterior improvements, there won't be elevations. There
Yeah,
may
but
be
like, I
a
go
few
back to that
cases
thing.
where there was an actual redevelopment where there was a new addition or something that didn't receive elevation, but in most cases, and especially if it's anything you do with a real development, like a new Cumberland Farms, or there's always elevation.
I go back to the last example, the Fleet Bank building.
And that's
There
kind of.
were no
iffy.
elevations and there's a
Yeah,
huge
it's a
addition.
redevelopment, bank already exists, it's right there.
Yeah, but
I
that
remember the one that was the one next to Posada that's on the corner that has been, where we've kind of asked for windows.
Yeah.
Do they give us elevations on that?
Yeah, that's why we knew there weren't windows. Yeah,
I think, yeah, I would echo Eric, over the years, we've almost always got an elevation, so.
Maybe you missed we missed a few cases.
I mean, part of it could just be we just need to talk about what the rules are, and in some cases, there's some judgment in there, so we can talk about, all right, well, we're gonna interpret this differently now, or this is what we really want to see, and then there's a basis to ask for it, it's already in there. We can just make sure that we get it if we think it's important for certain types of things.
And as far as the process too, when we look at the materials we've gotten, we can, reach out to the planning department and say, we think we should have this.
Yes.
And then sometimes, as we've done, we've caught it early enough, or would contact the developer.
Yeah.
Say, oh, we need this as well.
Yeah.
Something like that. So we'd have it rather than it coming up at the meeting.
Yeah.
So,
Some of these are just processes that
Yep.
you don't codify the stuff. I mean, the list of things they're supposed to give us is in the zoning document, but the culture of how we get it, we've also talked about wanting to talk to people earlier in the process. So it doesn't feel like we're hurting them when we ask them for something we're entitled to ask them for.
Right.
But I think some people don't want to be proactive because their reaction is it's cheaper and easier if they can move faster. So if we can condition people, some of the builders and developers to just come forward sooner and not at the last minute, then that could help us.
And also even just the owners, owners or developers, whatever, they don't have to come in with the whole team. If they come as a preliminary, we can give them some suggestions and that way it doesn't cost them an arm.
That's right.
They don't have to bring all their consultants in. We can send them off with a list of, to-do list or whatever.
So there's a cultural side of this too, just
Right.
procedures that already exist that we just need to refresh. And not all of us are as familiar with these as others are. So that's just something to talk about with you.
speaking of asking for something, and this is harkening back to the MDR, I had mentioned last time, I think, and it might have got lost in the shuffle. Was hoping from you, Eric, to get, because the MDR rules and regs for impact statements are not in the ordinance, correct?
Right.
And I was wondering if you could share those with all of us, just so people have those as a resource. I know I've had them before, but
In your board packets, that's always one of the things that's put in your board packet.
I know I've had it.
I don't know if that's still there. Actually, I had two of these. I don't know. Is that
What's the date on that one?
May 8th?
Then we need an extra zoning ordinance, May 8th, the date.
That is September was the new one.
September, then yes, September is the new one.
That'd be the new one.
I was just wondering if it's possible. You've given it to me at some point, and it's buried somewhere.
Yeah, no, I can get it that to the board, yeah.
And does everybody have the planning board rules and regs? That we all gotten that.
I do.
Who has not received a full board pack binder with a bunch of stuff in it? You have not.
I believe I do.
You have not.
You did.
But if, I would find it helpful to get those afresh.
Thank you.
The MDR plus the regular rules and regs. It's not too much hassle. I'll go to my bookkeeper. My apologies.
Yeah, so you guys will get a 3-ring binder with all that information, updated zoning ordinance map, open meeting law, rules and regs, MDR, everything.
FedEx and a drive right up.
Why don't we just come and we'll stop by and pick it up?
No, you'll have to stop by and pick it.
Come on, let's be,
You guys
sustainable.
You can sign the A&R while you're there.
What?
You can sign the A&R while you're there.
Yeah, because I missed the last time. I missed it. But I didn't vote this.
That's right, yeah.
I missed the last one.
Because
It was too late. I always go on Friday when we'll be there, which is
once there's enough signatures, we can just be done with it.
bad.
Three.
Yeah, well, last time we didn't.
Okay, so right now we're getting to the end of our 3 hours. So the next meeting will be, there's one other thing on our agenda too, I didn't want to forget where we run out of time. It is item 6G, Preservation Committee Liaison Report, and then we'll come back to talk about next meeting and and kind of summarize what we just talked about in terms of what we want to put on the agenda.
I've only been to 2 meetings. It doesn't,
Is this the community preservation?
it appears to be a committee that responds to applications from the public. Anything else? I didn't get a sense of any goals or focuses of the committee. In other words, it's not out there to do this or to do that.
It's reactive.
It reacts to things. So my original thoughts of including them with the guidelines, I don't think is really pertinent for them because they're not doing it. I haven't seen anything that I would consider preservation at all. I thought it was a preservation committee.
Did
They would look at things.
Did they give you
Really isn't.
orientation materials about the?
No, they didn't give me anything. I didn't know I was a member until they said, you're a member. I I thought it was a liaison, just kind of listening in the background, like what it's called auditing a class. But,
Susan Morgan.
yeah, it's a very nice group of people. I mean, believe me, but they seem to be focused on things the public brings forward.
Yeah, no, it's about
the grant.
It's about money, yeah. But the problem is that, go ahead.
No, it's formed by it's the Community Preservation Act. And each community has to decide if they want to buy in, to that. And that was in the original master plan. That was one of the recommendations. When a lot of us thought, what are the odds of it happening in Greenfield? And then it passed through the voting pretty well.
No,
Yeah, and it's all about, having this pool of money available for different categories.
but it's such a broad that their scope is so
It's
broad.
huge.
The stuff that we approved the other night, I was like stunned. I'm like, how is that preservation? Well, okay, how is that? Because it's about preservation. But there's a lot of improvement. Like
It's so much about revitalization.
Yeah.
yeah, it is. Putting bike racks out.
That's a
is a
misnomer.
big thing.
Thinking of it as
The problem is that they're doing all this, which is fine, but it's all being put back, and I got in trouble for saying, putting it on the city, because the city approves it. So they have to talk to the recreational board. If there's anything to do with that the recreation department might touch or don't, they have to have their buy-in. So they actually approve it first. So in other words, for example, the bike racks, that went before the DPW. DPW said, oh, it's a great idea. We'd love to do it. So they got approved. They gave the money to bike racks. That was in 2023. They still haven't gotten the bike racks out because no one decided where to put the bike racks out. Because they only have 3 people in the DPW. So it's like, so I'm like, it's a great idea, but they're having a hard time with a lot of the implementation because it's not, and I said, why can't you just have the public do it? If you think it's a good idea, then give Sarah the money, let her hire Joe's bicycle racks. Me with the DPW, say, where can I put the bicycle racks? You put a beer here, good, and hire Joe, and he puts the bicycle racks in. But they don't want to do that. It's got to go through the town.
Have they written the criteria for the grant
Oh, yes,
for this
there's a flow chart.
coming year?
Yeah, there's a flow chart. I can bring a copy. I assume I could share that. I can bring a copy of their chart of how to approve something, not approve, but
I think
I was stunned at some of the stuff that was being.
the real way to look at it, it's not preservation, it's community preservation. It really is about reinforcing.
And again,
So,
I was under the misnomer that it was something different,
yeah,
but it's
it's in every town,
It's very.
town, city, whatever.
they're
And the
doing-
categories are open space, recreation, and historic preservation.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Actually, I went twice.
Housing, yeah.
And housing, of course.
Affordable housing,
And
Yeah.
affordable housing.
affordable housing, open space, recreation.
Yeah, because the CSO got stuff for the Wall Street
Well,
project.
In Holyoke, they were using those funds for the cemetery. Because the cemetery was being neglected.
Okay,
And they voted to use funds.
It's
for
very
cemetery.
broad.
So, I mean, it's about community. It's
Have you
really.
gotten this year's grant applications in yet?
They're all in already.
Yeah.
The deadline was the 1st of December, I
So you
believe.
have to score all of those.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
I remember there would be discussion on that because I had applied once, so I was sitting in on some of the meetings. They were talking about whether something fits the criteria or the category, and it was some judgment calls about that. So
Yeah, because there's a law, the state law.
yeah,
And certain criteria
Right.
in the law, so you can't approve funding for a project that doesn't fall under that.
right.
Really has to benefit the community.
It can't be maintenance, but it can be rehab or something like that. I remember that was.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not supposed to.
Oh, they did. At least one.
It's really supposed to be a benefit to the community.
It's interesting. Thank you for serving.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting group. They haven't thrown me off yet.
But you can.
I'm asking questions. I started asking all these questions and they're like,
That's probably one of their projects.
It's a perfect.
they were very happy, but I'm like, just asking questions.
You're great.
They're a nice group of people. All right, so this fucking helps. The next meeting is Wednesday, January 21st at 6.
6 p.m.
6 PM at the fire station?
Are we 6 or 6:30?
We're six
Six.
unless it's a joint meeting with the economic development.
It's always 6.
6 o'clock.
We're always
No,
sitting.
even the joint meeting with the EDC, we're still
6
there.
o'clock.
Right.
That's the meeting with them and then it's.
Yeah, it's what-
I see, so they're 6:30.
They're 6:30, yeah. We're
They they like
They're
their
meeting
dinner.
with us. This is our meeting, really.
Harkening back to what Eric was saying about the old routine, we used to have the meetings twice a month for years, and I always started at 7. We had some late nights.
We got pushed because of something.
That's hard.
Some trying to meet.
So I think the historic commission, they moved to the fire station because they always ran into the.
Yeah, I would say location TBD based
Yeah,
on.
Okay.
Because Eric's gonna check if this
If city hall is available, then.
So you used to have the Board of Appeals
Yeah.
and the Historic Commission and Planning Board? Is that the?
But the Historic Commission, Conservation Commission, Planning Board and Zoning Board fall under the Department of Planning and Development.
Ooh, that's busy.
Yes. So at least, okay.
Congratulations. Very excited to have,
Yeah.
welcome. Have you here. Exciting. And we're thrilled for you.
Yeah.
Then you'll have to keep us,
New phase.
you'll have to keep us posted on your concert tour schedule.
So if you could, before we stop, just confirm our agenda for next time. I find that useful at the end of meetings.
Okay.
And also confirm what we're going to talk about with regard to the design guides.
Or we thought it was gonna be goals, maybe scope.
Yeah.
Goals.
So for design guidelines, we're going to talk about,
Geographic scope, maybe.
well, we were going to talk about just a purpose statement in general. It might reference the scope, but it's going to be the explanation of why we're doing this.
Why we're doing it.
Our purpose
What we're
statement.
trying to.
Absolutely.
And then also a discussion about the authority.
Yeah.
Where are we gonna start? Because I think it's true, that's what people are gonna, we can't just say, well, it'll reveal itself. We should have an intention about where we're gonna start. So that might be about how it ties into our existing and what topics. The topics, it could be the geography. What are the few so far?
So do you want us to bring in a goal as we see it and then does something work or are we gonna start? We're gonna start fresh at the meeting and
We could even have. Yeah, I mean, go back and look at the goal statements of the examples we have to get a sense of what a goal statement even looks like. Yeah, so think about that.
Which were the ones that people liked in particular?
Oh, I like stuff about most of them. The only one that I thought was not relevant was Greenfield.
there's one that was just a house too.
Right.
Fox,
Residential.
Fox.
Field seemed to be fixing a housing.
Housing improvement
Right.
program this year.
Yeah.
But also very historic leaning. So many of these plans, all the examples were historic and as an architect, I know many architects who'd be like, what the hell? Telling me how to design something. People don't want those kind of constraints.
But someone said East Denham was good, Framingham was good.
I don't know.
Some people do, but some people don't. So there's a fine line to.
There was one of them that talked about, it was interesting, I thought. You can have either the contextual approach, which is things should fit all together, or it went with state guidelines, but it seemed like it was a contrast. So like if there had been some changes over the time, you just honor those changes and you don't try to erase them. I just thought that, I can't remember which one it is off the top of my head.
All right, should we just email all our comments to?
We're not
We
supposed
have-
to.
Well,
No, I mean-
Agreeing with you.
Well, mine weren't personal comments. Mine were more like, this is good. This plan is doing X. Graphic example, these graphics are clear, this one, these goals and whatever. I mean, okay, maybe.
It's all
Whatever, I'll just send it and.
That wisdom will have to be revealed at the meeting.
What?
I said you have to reveal that wisdom at the meeting.
Yeah,
And over time,
that's a long list.
maybe a way of, depending on what we're focused on at a given time. Not to say that you have to synthesize it all ahead of time, but maybe.
It's an interesting thing, because can a way to get around the open meeting limitations, can we all give our ideas to one person and then they synthesize it and bring it back?
I think
We
that,
then haven't really actually had discussions amongst
And we talk
ourselves.
about it at the meeting.
At the
Yeah.
meeting.
And not-
So you've had a lot of,
Answer that, do you guys answer?
No, I think it's a fine line, but I think you could do it.
I mean, she's had individual conversations with us all, and she's probably building on those conversations. But there gotta be a way of doing this, because otherwise it's just.
I don't think so. I tried.
When I was clerk, but I guess I still am, but when I was clerk of the fire station building committee, when we were determining what the committee wanted the building to look like, our architect gave us different visuals,
Yeah.
different colors, textures, options. I assembled those into a Google document, or yeah, I guess it was a Google Doc that had a form. And then all of the committee members sort of, I like this, I don't like that. It wasn't necessarily all of us getting each other's opinions, but it allowed one central repository
Yeah.
that then I could create graphics. Well, I utilized Google, so I didn't interject my own opinion, but I took the responses like, okay, 60% said this, 40% said this, and then presented that in a public setting as these were all the responses. These were the similarities amongst our responses, and it allowed the group to then take all of our non-public response as a public document.
Yeah.
It sort of encompassed both, right? It took a non-public setting to allow everybody to have their piece of submission, but then revealed in a public setting.
But,
We
on a
did the
Google
same
Doc,
with the
could-
Library, by the way,
Yeah.
exact same thing.
could everyone see other people's responses on the Google Doc?
No, because I set it so that they couldn't. I was the only one
Yeah,
as the clerk that I was allowed
That's a big
to
difference. Yeah,
take all of those together,
gotcha,
assemble a group document,
gotcha.
and sort of funnel all of that together. Then as a public body, when we were in a public
right.
session,
But that's,
we debated all of that stuff, but
Right.
it gave us a document to work from.
it's crucial that other people couldn't see other people's responses.
Or like a survey, like
Yeah.
Survey Monkey, so people
So it
individually go
makes
in there,
sense.
take the survey, you take the data from that.
We could do that, channeling it in as a way to advance our work.
Sort of if we set one topic, we could then pull the information, assemble it together, and then when we come together, at least it's all in
Yeah.
one
If
sort of
it's-
document to discuss.
if it's simple enough to boil down to
Mhm.
that. Yeah, I think we need to think about mechanisms and tools that allow us to,
Yeah.
save a meeting if we can. Maybe you should come back at our next meeting and give us suggestions about how you want to work with us, because we can come up with all sorts of ideas and with you in charge, how involved do you want to be? How much of your time is dedicated to this kind of idea or not? So we can calibrate our expectations and our output and our schedule.
Yeah, would you rather work yourself? Would you rather us engage more of a consultant? If we have the resources, I don't know if we do, but what would be your?
City's broke.
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. It's hard for me to calibrate to totally know my workload and my ability to focus on this, but I'd be happy to guide that discussion and figure out the best tools for providing drafts and feedback.
We're trying to get priority on your workload so that you can tell other people that you don't have time for their stuff.
But at the same
At least you're being
time,
transparent.
we don't want to get it to the point where you're like, oh, the planning board, they're such a pain.
So that could be a third, so
They make
purpose
me-
statement, we talk about the
Give me too much
authority and the things we want to start with, and then maybe we talk with you about how we can work together best.
Yeah, that would be great.
So just so I'm clear on the agenda, because you'd like to talk about the next agenda, so one agenda item is still the standing design guidelines, but under that, going to discuss the purpose statement, authorities for design guidelines, goal statements.
That's.
I would almost,
The other things that fall in there.
we could call it authority, we could call it just where to start.
So,
That's a less provocative item.
well, I just used the wording you used.
I know you did.
Editing and stuff.
All right, and then what else would you like on the agenda?
Are there
The other standing items?
So-
Update from the SGIC about
Okay, yeah.
Victor, have you met with the preservation committee? Are you gonna keep doing that?
Now only till what's the next meeting? I'll let you know when my next meeting is. I have an update. I'll let you know
Okay,
that.
we'll put it on the agenda, and if you don't have an update, we'll just skip it. That's fine.
So,
Are there any upcoming projects that will need to come before us? That you know
None of that I know
of? Okay.
of. So if you're lucky, there may be nothing of substance in terms of applications on the next agenda.
I would put on there, just in case, review updated committee guidelines. Like if available, if they send us something by that.
we have a discussion about our presentation to the council on the
Yeah,
master plan.
that could be maybe nested in with an SGIC report. That's not too expensive. Because that's what they're gonna talk to, that's what we're gonna talk to us about.
Yeah. But also we would want to talk about our participation or our
Yeah,
decision.
right, but I'm just saying that we can do that within the agenda item of you giving your report.
Okay.
That feels fair. And then whatever random ARs show up between now and then. All right, I guess that's it. So you were gonna make an motion about 20 minutes ago?
I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay. Discussion, all in favor? Great.
Next meeting.